The dim setting sun grudgingly scattered a few rays of afterglow, as if trying to veil the barrenness of the land. Amidst the jagged rocks, a bullet-shaped object in grayish-black stood silently, casting a long, thin shadow on the ground. After a long while, the conical top of the grayish-black object opened to one side, revealing a hemispherical glass dome. Inside, a person sat on the ground, staring blankly at the sky. "Where am I?" Lin Ming strained his neck, trying to get a clear view of the celestial body, emitting a bright silvery light in the sky. Its silver appearance, clearly visible craters, and desolate surface resembled the common moon, except it was 4 to 5 times larger. Lin Ming could even make out details hidden in the darkness and its spherical outline. In the distance, the setting sun hovered just above the horizon, no larger than a soccer ball. He felt none of the sun's warmth. Suddenly, an emotionless electronic voice exploded in Lin Ming's mind. "Human, welcome to the boundless deep space, full of challenges and exploration. You are tens of thousands of light years from your home star system, yet on the scale of celestial bodies, this is still an insignificant distance. The good news is you can still call yourself a life form of the Milky Way. Due to my negligence while piloting the shuttle, I passed your home planet at an extremely high speed, inadvertently causing its disintegration. As compensation, I have scattered all surviving humans of your home planet onto nearby habitable planets. You may use your own strength to transform your new world. After successful transformation, you may choose to retrieve your fellow beings or live out your days in solitude. Of course, failure is not fatal. The shuttle contains an escape pod that can freeze you to -200°C and launch you in a random direction. In theory, you may spend the rest of your life in deep sleep during the long voyage. For other matters, touch the ether crystal on the back of your left hand to learn more. Good luck surviving, humans." What the hell? Lin Ming processed the information he had just heard. Folks, you might not believe it. Waking up to find his home planet blown up. He was dumped tens of thousands of light years from the solar system. Was being in the Milky Way really a reason to celebrate? And what the hell was this ether crystal? Lin Ming looked at the rhombus-shaped crystal embedded on the back of his left hand, emitting a grayish-white light. That must be the ether crystal the voice mentioned. After a moment's hesitation, Lin Ming gently touched the ether crystal. A light blue beam projected from it, coalescing into a translucent blue screen before him. The interface resembled a phone screen with neatly arranged square icons of vibrant colors and design, each labeled below: survival pod info, planet info, chat channel, interstellar exchange pending. Dude, did you turn this into a survival game? But whether it's a game or not, survival is the priority. Lin Ming first tapped survival pod info and saw the detailed interface: interstellar survival pod description, accept your fate. This is the home you can never leave. Fuel 0-100 cannot move. Electrical energy 10500 energy is fundamental to your survival. Oxygen 24500, each unit sustains 1 hour of vigorous exercise, 2 hours of rest sleep, or 10 hours of hibernation. Pure water 10500 liters. Food 3 nutrient paste, each tube provides daily caloric needs. Storage 112 items not stored in the pod may be damaged by extreme temperatures or other causes. Accessories: solar panel damaged, electromagnetic wave communicator damaged, hibernation pod available, escape pod available. Expansion slots 2. Damn. Lin Ming couldn't help flipping the bird. This was way too stingy. Oxygen for only 24 hours, water just 10 liters, and what the hell was nutrient paste? Lin Ming fumbled around and soon found 3 tubes resembling toothpaste, pure white with no text. He tried to unscrew one and squeezed out some brownish substance that smelled strange. Is this dog food? Lin Ming licked a tiny bit and nearly threw up. The taste was like putting every ingredient from the kitchen into a blender plus every spice imaginable. It was salty, sour, bitter, spicy, and fishy all at once. The perfect word to describe it: Indian cuisine. Not hungry yet, Lin Ming couldn't stand the weird taste, so he quickly capped it and tossed it aside. Then he opened planet info. Unknown planet. Description: you know nothing about this planet, but all its data is identical to your home planet. Rotation period 24 blue star hours. Revolution period not important. Current surface temperature 50-75 C. Current status polar day. Current gravity 9.8 in kg. Atmospheric composition: nitrogen 80, carbon dioxide 19, other 1. After reading the planet info, Lin Ming was stunned. Aside from gravity and rotation period, what else was the same as blue star? The sun was almost setting, yet the surface temperature was over 50 C. The atmosphere was mostly nitrogen and carbon dioxide. Where was the oxygen? Where was my 21 oxygen? Then Lin Ming opened chat channel and finally felt a sliver of home. Which bastard dumped me in this godforsaken place? Damn your ancestors. F me, my atmosphere has 10 hydrogen sulfide. That's just farts. Who's worse than me? No atmosphere. Direct sunlight over 200 degrees, a shade -100. Hey, that guy who spoke before, my daughter is only one, still nursing. Where's my daughter? Is she surviving on? Only humans aged 18 or above are sent into planetary survival. Other humans are in hibernation in escape pods. After successful terraforming, you can transmit electromagnetic waves to bring your family back. Below the questioning player's message, a red font reply appeared. Seeing that they could communicate with the entity that brought them here, players became more excited, typing demands. Hey, you blew up Blue Star. Give us more compensation. Multiply all my resources by 100, no 10,000. Exactly. Besides humans, Earth had many cute animals. You cruel thing, you should die to pay for it. If you give us back the ball. Return Blue Star. Suddenly Lin Ming saw that the avatars of these three players turned gray with a blood-red death character in the corner. Red text appeared again, only the strong may make requests. The weak have no right to speak. To quote the oldest civilization on your planet, those who obey me prosper, those who defy me perish. Lin Ming couldn't help but gasp in shock. He had originally thought that the entity which brought them here was benevolent, but it turned out to be merciless, killing 3 people in an instant. But upon reflection he understood. That entity was not human, perhaps not even humanoid. Maybe not even carbon-based life. There was no way to know if it possessed morality. Even if it did, the vast technological gap would prevent any mercy toward the surviving humans. Perhaps casting all humans onto savage planets for survival was merely a whim of the entity, a momentary amusement. Having realized this, Lin Ming no longer expected any extra resources from the entity and decided to He checked the chat channel's local region and world. The local channel currently had 9997 members, meaning including the 3 deaths, there were 1000 people. The region channel had 1 million people and the world channel over 3 billion. This number was less than half the original population of Blue Star. Likely those under 18 were not included in the planetary survival, or others didn't survive the catastrophe that destroyed Blue Star. Finally, Lin Ming opened the interstellar exchange, but found it empty, so he closed the interface. He took stock of his resources. His most urgent need was to find oxygen. Food and water could last a long time. Even without eating or drinking, he could survive 3 or 4 days. But even if he slept to minimize oxygen consumption, his oxygen would only last 2 days. With this in mind, Lin Ming looked around and noticed 2 transparent chambers on either side of the metal walls, an escape pod and a hibernation pod. The escape pod's function was clear. When resources were depleted, it would launch from this savage planet into the endless cosmos, where one would sleep forever. In other words, wait for death. The hibernation pod could greatly reduce oxygen consumption during sleep. Lin Ming touched the glass door of the hibernation pod, and a beam of light projected from the ether crystal. Deep hibernation is similar to sleeping. It restores energy and greatly reduces oxygen consumption. However, hibernation does not alleviate mental pressure. Avoid continuous use. Each 10 hours of hibernation consumes 1 unit of electricity. Begin hibernation. No. Lin Ming immediately dismissed the prompt. So hibernation was not a perfect solution. It consumed electricity and did not reduce mental pressure. Lin Ming examined the interior of the survival pod. The floor was about 2 meters by 3 meters with a height of 2 meters. Staying in such a cramped space would indeed cause mental stress. Then he noticed 2 garments in the corner of the room. One was very thick, like a spacesuit he had seen in videos. The other garment was very thin, like a diving suit with only a spherical glass helmet. Lightweight exosuit. Heavy exosuit description: a very heavy exosuit with exoskeleton assistance for movement, capable of withstanding extreme environments, maintaining normal body temperature in 100 to 300 degrees Celsius, and can carry objects under 1 ton. Electricity consumption 1 unit-hour. Oxygen consumption same as resting consumption. Lightweight exosuit description: a very light exosuit that allows free movement with partial protection, maintains normal body temperature in 50 to 100 degrees Celsius. Electricity consumption none. After reading the descriptions, Lin Ming understood even more the importance of electricity. He prepared to go outside. He had 2 goals. One was to find oxygen or items that could generate oxygen. The other was to find materials for generating electricity or repairing the solar panels. But first, Lin Ming climbed the U-shaped steps on the wall to the glass dome at the top, surveying the surroundings. Desolate. Lifeless. His location was like the Gobi Desert on Blue Star. Nothing but sand and stones, no sign of life. He thought the planet's atmosphere was mostly nitrogen and carbon dioxide, surface temperature above 50 C. How could any creature survive? Lin Ming observed from the lookout for a long time, finally settling on a boulder about 3 kilometers from the survival pod as a landmark. The rock's shape reminded Lin Ming of the walnut from Plants vs. Zombies. It could serve as a landmark to avoid getting lost. The initial exploration was to understand the surroundings. Going too far might make him unable to return. After another 10 minutes of observation confirming nothing was moving, Lin Ming began his action. He first put on the lightweight exosuit. It felt like a layer of skin-like material enveloped him. No discomfort or suffocation, and he could still feel his skin's touch. Then Lin Ming checked the lightweight exosuit's detailed information. It could carry up to 5 units of oxygen, 1 liter of water, and a few other items. After consideration, Lin Ming chose to fully fill the 5 units of oxygen, fill the water pouch, and bring all 3 nutritional sticks. Thus, even if an accident forced him to stay outside temporarily, he wouldn't die from lack of resources. And used items could be recovered, so no waste. After packing supplies, Lin Ming looked around and found many metal cylinders hidden in the walls used to store resources. These metal cylinders were usually recessed into the wall and hard to notice. A gentle touch would make them slow. The metal cylinders were about the size of an adult's lower leg, silver white, likely made of aluminum or similar alloy. They were hollow with a screw cap, not too heavy. The cylinder could be used to collect resources or as a defensive weapon. With that, the preparation for exiting the pod. Lin Ming rehearsed the details of exploration in his mind, confirmed nothing was missed, and walked to the hatch. The sound of gas rushing came. Lin Ming first entered a small transfer chamber. The survival pod system recovered the oxygen inside, then began opening the outer hatch. As the hatch gradually opened, Lin Ming clutched the metal cylinder tightly, prepared for any danger. Fortunately, nothing appeared, still desolate and dead. He extended his right hand to feel the temperature outside. The air was visibly distorted by waves of heat, but protected by the lightweight exosuit, Lin Ming felt no discomfort. It was still very comfortable. Phew. He descended the spiral ladder, stepping onto the surface. The soft sand felt pleasant underfoot. Lin Ming left his footprints on a savage planet tens of thousands of light years from his home star for the first time. That's one small step for me, one giant leap for mankind. My name is Lin Ming. Soon the whole planet will After uttering such an embarrassingly melodramatic line, Lin Ming felt an inexplicable surge of satisfaction. As the sole human on this planet, he had to find some amusement, or otherwise it would be far too dull. After his brief moment of exhilaration, Lin Ming reverted to his cautious nature, circling the escape pod. The ground was covered in fine gravel, which looked no different from the deserts of Blue Star. Beneath the gravel, about 5 centimeters down, lay a hard blackish-brown surface, extremely dry, with no trace of water. Lin Ming spotted the towering nut-like rock formation he had chosen as a landmark and suddenly felt a faint warmth in his eyes. Then Lin Ming perceived that the towering nut-like rock was dotted with red and black specks of light. What the hell? His heart leaped. Could the rock be radioactive, with high-energy particles piercing his retina? He glanced around and noticed that some of the scattered smaller rocks also flickered with black and red specks. Blinking, the warmth gradually faded and the shimmering specks disappeared. What was happening? Could it be some twisted joke of the universe using high-energy radiation to etch the words, "You are but insects," onto his retina? Though puzzled, Lin Ming kept moving step by slow step toward the towering nut-like rock. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The glass helmet did not muffle sounds. Lin Ming could clearly hear the crunch of his footsteps and the howling wind around him. He walked on, observing his surroundings. There was nothing but gravel and rock. Crunch, crunch, crunch. In the profound silence, the sound of his footsteps was deafening. Several times he held his breath and could hear his own heartbeat. He turned back. The black escape pod stood still and silent, utterly motionless. So I really am alone here. Lin Ming shook off his tangled thoughts, his gaze gradually hardening. Fixing his eyes on the towering nut-like rock, he strode straight toward it, one step at a time. It took Lin Ming over half an hour to cover the 3 kilometers. He took a few sips of water through the straw by his mouth, then looked up at the 5-meter behemoth before him. The towering nut-like rock was a grayish-brown with a smooth surface and distinct layers of texture. It had clearly stood here for eons, weathered by wind and sun through countless ages. Yet aside from this, Lin Ming found nothing else. No traces of moss-like plants, no fossils, nothing at all. Gritting his teeth, Lin Ming gripped the metal cylinder tightly and slammed it against the towering nut-like rock with all his might. Bang! Once. Bang! Twice. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Ming struck harder and harder, leaving white marks on the rock. Suddenly, with a crack, a fist-sized chunk broke off and fell at his feet. Lin Ming picked up the stone, but the fracture was just like the surface, empty. He tossed it aside and continued smashing the boulder. Bang, bang, bang. Piece after piece of rubble fell from the towering nut-like rock. Lin Ming paid them no heed, striking relentlessly. Bang, bang, bang. Finally, the lightweight spacesuit emitted a soft chime, warning that oxygen levels had dropped by half, and it was time to plan the return journey. Only then did Lin Ming stop. He stared at the rubble scattered around him, panting heavily, then took several big gulps of water. Whooshed. Lin Ming crouched down, examining the broken stones one by one. Nothing, still nothing. There was nothing at all. Moi. Lin Ming picked up another stone, glanced at it, and was about to set it down when he suddenly froze. He held the stone up to his glass helmet, scrutinizing it closely. Inside the rock, there was a broken fragment of a black object, perfectly square and only the size of a fingernail. This is... Lin Ming swallowed hard. After repeated confirmation, he finally determined it was a chip. Damn it. Ha ha ha, I'm not the first one here, and am not the only one. I'm not alone. Ha ha ha. Lin Ming laughed like a madman for a long time. Looking at the scattered stones, they suddenly seemed so endearing to him. He inspected the metal cylinder. Aside from a few minor scuffs on the bottom, it was completely undeformed. So Lin Ming unscrewed the lid of the metal cylinder, carefully placed the stones inside one by one, and screwed it back tightly. Having done this, he strode back, cheerfully reaching the escape pod in just half an hour. Decontamination required after egress. Please wait briefly in the airlock. Items collected outside are prohibited from entering the living quarters directly. Please place them in the recycling area on your left. The processing system will handle them. Whoosh. A blast of hot air at 100 degrees Celsius hit Lin Ming. After a 10-minute decontamination process, he finally entered the living quarters and removed his lightweight spacesuit. This collection: 2 units of oxygen, 500 milliliters of water, 3 nutrition bars. Lin Ming checked his remaining supplies: 20 units of oxygen and 5 liters of water. Just then the ether crystal on his left wrist emitted a soft hum. Lin Ming tapped it and saw a notification pop up. Collected 6 stones. Decomposition requires 1 unit of electrical energy. Proceed. Lin Ming quickly asked, if there's something inside the stones, will decomposition damage it? The pop-up noted, decomposition will peel away the rock layer by layer. Any potentially useful objects will be preserved. Relieved, Lin Ming confirmed the option yes. Zzz. The sound of grinding filled the air. Moments later, another notification appeared. Decomposition complete. Grade Universal Chip X1, damaged Universal Chip X1, Oi Iron, or X1. Shortly after, a tray appeared beside the airlock door holding several objects. Lin Ming dashed over in a few quick strides. Seeing the black chip and the reddish iron ore on the tray, Lin Ming was stunned. He recalled the black and red specks of light he had seen within the towering nut-like rock. Could he see the resources inside the rock? But this was not the time to ponder. Lin Ming bent down and spotted a perfectly square, fingernail-sized black object, presumably the universal chip. Lin Ming rubbed his hands vigorously, then touched the metal wall to discharge any static electricity before carefully picking up the universal chip. The ether crystal promptly displayed a holographic message. Grade Universal Chip. Description: a universal chip with extremely low computational power, almost worthless. Hint: can be used to repair the electromagnetic wave communicator. Whoa. Repair the electromagnetic wave communicator. Lin Ming quickly asked the ether crystal, what does repairing the electromagnetic wave communicator do? The electromagnetic wave communicator can be used for long-distance communication. Based on this chip's computational power, it can perform one of the following tasks. 1. Send a distress signal to all space within 1 light minute, consuming 1 unit of electrical energy. 2. Send a distress signal to space within 5 light minutes in a specified direction, consuming 1 unit of electrical energy. 3. Use a powerful electromagnetic wave to scan the surrounding 10 kilometers, producing a 3-dimensional topographical map, down to a depth of 5 meters. Note: due to the low computational power of the grade universal chip, all tasks require overclocking. After use, the universal chip will be damaged and cannot be repaired. After reading the ether crystal's reply, Lin Ming swallowed hard. The electromagnetic wave communicator on the escape pod seemed far more powerful than he had imagined. He then asked, what's the use of sending a distress signal? Will someone come to rescue me? The ether crystal quickly responded. The density of life forms in the universe is far sparser than you imagine, typically measured in tens of thousands of light years. During interstellar travel, various accidents occur, causing some life forms to be stranded on desolate planets. To give them ample time to await rescue, life forms launch numerous resource supply pods into space. Upon receiving a distress signal, these pods will fly toward its source. So that's how it is. Lin Ming quickly grasped the situation. He began to scrutinize the 3 options. The first 2 were similar, their sole difference being the spatial coverage of the distress signal. Option 1 covered a sphere with a radius of 1 light minute centered on him, while option 2 was a cone 5 light minutes in height. Option 1 covered a larger volume, but option 2 allowed the distress signal to reach a greater distance. As for option 3, his current range of activity was too limited. Even with a high-precision map of the surrounding area, he couldn't reach it, so he simply abandoned it. After much deliberation, Lin Ming chose option 1. Probabilistically speaking, the larger the space, the greater the chance of finding a resource supply pod. Thus, Lin Ming quickly made his decision. Repair the electromagnetic wave communicator. I choose option 1. The ether crystal complied immediately. An grade universal chip was placed into the electromagnetic wave communicator. Shortly after, the ether crystal flashed a prompt: distress signal sent. Grade universal chip damaged. Lin Ming raised an eyebrow. That's it. Throughout the process, he heard no sound and sensed no anomaly. The text on the light screen changed. In 1 minute, the distress signal will reach its farthest point. The return signal will take the same amount of time. At most, in 2 minutes, you can confirm whether there are any resource supply pods in the vicinity. Lin Ming nodded nervously, his gaze fixed on the countdown ticking away on the light screen. 159, 158, 157. When the countdown reached 30 seconds, the light screen immediately changed, detected resource supply pod 1. Based on the pod's current orbit and velocity, it is estimated to arrive in 6 hours. Lin Ming clenched his fist. Excellent. He continued to wait. After all, there were still 30 seconds left. What if there were more resource supply pods nearby? After all, with each passing second, the space covered by the distress signal grew larger than the previous second. Unfortunately, the outcome left Lin Ming somewhat disappointed. Within a distance of 1 light minute, there was only a single resource supply pod. This is good enough. Why ask for more? Watching the schematic animation on the light screen showing the resource supply pod beginning its orbit change, Lin Ming relaxed and began to look at his subsequent gains. Damaged universal chip X1. The ether crystal promptly indicated that depending on the damaged part, the chip could be repaired through laser cutting and high-precision welding. However, due to possible errors during the repair process, approximately 10 damaged universal chips could be restored to 1 functional chip. Holy shit, chips can be repaired. What kind of zenith tech is this? Lin Ming exclaimed in amazement. Although he wasn't an electronics major, he knew that a usable chip was at least on the micron or even nanometer scale. The survival pod actually had instruments to repair chips. The system currently lacks a high-precision 3D printer. With that component, not to mention chips, as long as raw materials are sufficient, anything with a manufacturing blueprint can be printed. Reading the words appearing on the light screen, Lin Ming nodded. He believed it. Finally, there was the rust iron ore, entirely red and slightly smaller than a fist. Rust iron ore description: upon decomposition, yields 1 unit of oxygen and 1 unit of ultra-fine iron powder. Consumption: 1 unit of electrical energy. It can yield oxygen. Lin Ming was instantly excited. Oxygen was his most scarce resource at the moment. After all, he could survive 7 or 8 days on an empty stomach and 3 or 4 days without water. But without breathing, he would probably only last 2 or 3 minutes. Oxygen, usually unassuming, was absolutely indispensable in a critical moment. Yet, decomposing rust iron ore could yield oxygen. Thinking of that tough nut rock and the countless rocks of all sizes around him, Lin Ming breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed oxygen wouldn't be a problem now. The issue was that electrical energy was becoming tight. Decomposing the rock had consumed 1 unit of electrical energy, and sending the distress signal had consumed another unit. He now had only 8 units left. In short, any minor activity would drain the electrical energy. Therefore, Lin Ming decided to store the rust iron ore in the metal cylinder for now and decompose it only when oxygen ran low. He had already figured out that almost any operation in the survival pod consumed at least 1 unit of electrical energy. If he collected more rust iron ore and decomposed it all at once, the energy consumption per unit might be lower. After doing all this, Lin Ming felt a bit hungry. He took out a tube of nutrient paste, washed down half of it with water, and felt his stomach ease. Since it was currently in a state of perpetual daylight with no concept of night or day, Lin Ming decided to pass the time by browsing through the various functions of the ether crystal. Opening the regional chat channel, Lin Ming scrolled through the content to see if other players had made any new discoveries. So boring. No phone, no Weibo, no Douyin. My world is dark. Looking for a chat buddy, preferably a hot girl. Handsome, I've added you. Accept me. Just 1 unit of oxygen for a 10-minute video chat. You're too shady. Everyone's oxygen is only enough for a day or 2. If no oxygen source is found today, half of us will suffocate tomorrow. Yeah, has anyone found an oxygen source? Food, water, or even electrical energy would do. Exactly. Everyone, don't be selfish. One person's ability is limited. Only by uniting can we overcome this crisis. Lin Ming's heart stirred slightly as he watched the messages scrolling through the regional chat channel. He considered revealing the fact that universal chips and rust iron ore could be mined from rocks to others, but not now. Currently, no one in the regional channel had given such information. It might be that no one had discovered it, or someone had, but chose not to speak. After all, information asymmetry was one of the main sources of profit. Thinking of this, Lin Ming opened the Interstellar Exchange channel and found that some players had already started trading. Water X1 liter for oxygen X3 units. Nutrient paste X1 for oxygen X5 units. Oxygen X3 units for electrical energy X1 unit. Urine X 500 ml for water X 100 ml. As he read on, Lin Ming's brow furrowed. He could understand trading water or nutrient paste for oxygen, as oxygen was a scarce resource and most people would face oxygen shortages in 2 days. He could also understand trading oxygen for electrical energy. Perhaps some players had already discovered the uses of electricity. But what the hell was trading urine for water? Suddenly, the last trade listing flickered, indicating that 2 players had completed a deal. Holy shit. Lin Ming quickly figured it out. Due to the limited water resources and the continuous production of urine by the human circulatory system, if water sources dried up before drinking water was found, one would have no choice but to drink urine. It sounded disgusting, but in a water-scarce environment, drinking urine was indeed a way to sustain oneself. At that moment, if a player with a weak mentality chose to sell urine for a relatively smaller amount of water, there would certainly be players willing to make the trade. After all, 500 milliliters of urine would be far more useful to the human body than 100 milliliters of water. Thinking of this, Lin Ming quickly reacted and listed the rust iron ore for sale. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Perhaps many players were already exploring their surroundings. If he continued to hoard the rust iron ore like a treasure, its value might plummet in just a few hours. Rust iron ore X1 exchanged for electrical energy X3 units. Lin Ming listed the rust iron ore at a high price. After all, it was not an initial resource and could be decomposed to yield the urgently needed oxygen. Having initially set a high price, he planned to gradually lower it. Lin Ming estimated that when the price dropped to 2.25 units of electrical energy, it should sell. After all, for the vast majority of players, electrical energy was not a survival resource, optional, and in truth, Lin Ming had wanted to list it directly for 5 units of electrical energy, but the interstellar exchange imposed a limit. Rust iron ore could only be traded for a maximum of 3 units. He had no choice but to relent. The moment the rust iron ore was listed, the chat attached to the interstellar exchange heated up instantly. Holy crap, who is this Lin Ming? How did you get that rust iron ore? Brothers, look at the codex. Rust iron ore can be decomposed into oxygen. Senior Lin Ming, please share the source of the rust iron ore. These were the relatively polite players. Lin Ming, we are all compatriots. If a resource like rust iron ore can yield oxygen, you'd better come clean about its source. Yeah, I sprained my ankle a couple of days ago and can't move around easily. Lin Ming, sell me a few pieces cheap and I'll pay you back later. Since you found rust iron ore at this time, there must be a mine near your survival pod. The ore is basically free. You should pick more and give it to everyone. Well, each chip in some nutrient paste and water as a token of thanks. Some players were more blunt, voicing their thoughts outright. Lin Ming completely ignored these players. However, he wished to ignore them, but they wouldn't let him off. Many sent him trade requests. Player Chin Cohen wants to exchange water X 500 ml for rust iron ore X1. Do you? Player Li Jibei wants to exchange nutrient paste X01 for rust iron ore X1. Player Qin Lingling wants to exchange urine X 300 ml for rust iron ore X1. Note, big brother, I'm a girl, you know. It's still warm, hee. If you like it, I can give it to you every time. Do you agree? Facing the barrage of trade requests, Lin Ming felt overwhelmed. He rejected them all with a single click and turned off the trade request option. Just then, the ether crystal popped up a notification. Player Tang Howren has traded electrical energy X3 units for your rust iron ore X1. Please place the traded item in the trade zone promptly. Player Tang Howren has requested to add you as a friend. Lin Ming raised an eyebrow, surprised that someone was willing to buy the rust iron ore at such a high price. He placed the rust iron ore in the trade zone projected by the ether crystal. In an instant, a flash of blue light swept past the ore, vanished, and the survival pod's electrical energy increased by 3 units. Is it really this magical? The sight before him left Lin Ming utterly astonished. Could it be that he was truly inside a game? After some thought, he accepted Tang Howren's friend request. Hello, brother Lin. Tang Howren maintained a humble tone and sent him a message. I didn't expect a big shot to appear so quickly in the region, having exploited precious resources. This junior feels honored. Unsure of Tang Howren's intentions, Lin Ming could only reply, you flatter me. I just happened to stumble upon this stuff nearby. Tang Howren did not hesitate and said bluntly, Brother Lin, to be honest, I'd like to take over the rust iron ore business on your end. Give me a base price and I'll buy every piece you have now and in the future. So he wanted to play Monopoly. But where did Tang Howren get so much electrical energy? Lin Ming voiced his doubt, and Tang Howren quickly replied, Brother Lin, there are over 500 people in our regional channel, all from Tang province. Combined, our electrical energy should be enough to absorb plenty of rust iron, or don't you think? So it was Tang province. Lin Ming understood immediately. Tang province had produced merchants since ancient times, a renowned province of businessmen. Now it had caught the express train of foreign trade, with wealthy merchants everywhere. Moreover, the people of Tang province were extremely united. When one of them was bullied in another province, all the locals nearby would gather together. Gradually, no one dared to provoke them. Seeing that Lin Ming had not replied, Tang Howren continued, Brother Lin, I won't hide it from you. Judging by the current situation, oxygen is bound to become a scarce resource. Right now, it might only fetch 2 or 3 units of electrical energy, but later, when other resources appear, rust iron ore will still hold immense value and could be traded for even rarer things. Of course, our bulk purchase is premised on you not selling it cheaper to others. Lin Ming clicked his tongue in admiration. No wonder they were from Tang province. Their vision was truly farsighted. Thus, he decided to accept the deal with Tang Howren. Alright, under the same price, I'll sell to you first. But if other players offer a higher price, I can't guarantee anything. Lin Ming thought for a moment and replied, at least 2 units of electrical energy for 1 piece of rust iron ore. However, my output is limited since I still need to mine. Deal. Tang Howard agreed readily. Brother Lin, just keep mining. We'll take whatever you produce. With Tang Howard's guarantee, Lin Ming was instantly brimming with motivation. His electrical energy had now reached 11 units, exceeding the initial amount. So Lin Ming decided to try on the heavy-duty EVA suit. Compared to the lightweight EVA suit, the heavy-duty version was larger, could withstand greater extreme temperatures, and featured an exoskeleton that allowed Lin Ming to carry up to 1 ton of cargo. The only downside was that whether carrying cargo or not, the heavy-duty EVA suit consumed electrical energy. Now that Lin Ming had a guaranteed sales channel, he naturally pursued efficiency. With the goal of mining rust iron, or the consumption of 1 unit per hour was no longer a concern. Most importantly, he had to race against time. At present, all players were likely in the exploration phase. He wondered how many had tried moving nearby rocks back to their survival pods for decomposition. As soon as the same resource appeared on the market, the price would be driven down rapidly. With this in mind, Lin Ming acted without delay. He quickly donned the heavy-duty EVA suit and completed his resource replenishment. Compared to the lightweight EVA suit, the heavy-duty version could carry more resources, up to 10 liters of water, 10 units of oxygen, and a certain amount of food. It could store up to 10 units of electrical energy, meaning the heavy-duty EVA suit could operate for a maximum of 10 consecutive hours. Since consumables could be recovered when in use, Lin Ming spared no expense and maxed them out. After putting on the heavy-duty EVA suit, Lin Ming felt his body connect with the exoskeleton. The bulky suit became remarkably agile. Whenever he made a move, the exoskeleton mirrored it instantly with no delay. With just a few stretches, Lin Ming adapted fully to wearing the heavy-duty EVA suit. With a hiss, after the transfer chamber recycled the oxygen and balanced the pressure, he successfully descended to the ground. Compared to his first exit, Lin Ming felt much more proficient on his second venture, and his objective was crystal clear: the toughnut rocks. Although other rocks might also contain rust iron, ore, and universal chips, Lin Ming had already surveyed the toughnut rocks and broken them into many smaller pieces. Other rocks were more widely scattered, and mining them might not be as efficient as hauling the toughnut rocks. Swish, swish, swish. Lin Ming, clad in his heavy-duty EVA suit, left deep footprints in the gravel with every step. Fortunately, beneath the layer of gravel lay solid ground. Otherwise, Lin Ming suspected he might have sunk into the gravel. Assisted by the exoskeleton, he strode swiftly towards the tall, nut-like rock formation, reaching its base in just over 10 minutes. "Hey, I'm back," Lin Ming greeted the towering rock formation. He didn't immediately start mining, but instead tried to spot the black and red specks of light on it, yet found nothing. Could those lights he saw earlier have been an illusion? Lin Ming carefully recalled what he had been doing when he saw the black and red specks. Gazing. It was the act of gazing. He instantly understood. Standing 5 meters away from the rock formation, he stared fixedly at it. After staring for about 10 seconds, Lin Ming felt a slight warmth in his eyes. The black and red specks of light began to flicker again on the rock formation, evenly distributed throughout the entire stone. Lin Ming extended his right hand. The heavy-duty EVA suit had been specially reinforced on the hands and chest, featuring a thick fortified layer with an outer shell of metal armor. He decided to first test if directly striking the rock formation would damage his suit. Being cautious, Lin Ming didn't use his full strength for the first punch, only setting the exoskeleton to 30% power. Boom. His fist slammed into the rock formation. Lin Ming saw a white mark appear on the stone. There were no cracks, and the EVA suit was undamaged. Again, Lin Ming increased the exoskeleton power to 50% and threw another punch. Boom. Crack. This time, several fissures radiated from the point of impact. The rock formation was beginning to fracture. Lin Ming carefully inspected the hand armor of his heavy-duty EVA suit. There was still no damage or deformation. Perfect. He boosted the exoskeleton power to 70% and threw another punch. Crash. A piece of rock the size of a basketball was dislodged, along with countless fragments of debris. Having mastered the force required to shatter the rock formation, the rest was simple. Lin Ming worked with both fists, targeting the areas where the black and red lights appeared. He pounded the rock formation into dozens of pieces scattered across the ground in just half an hour. After finishing, Lin Ming checked his resource consumption. In nearly an hour of work, the heavy-duty EVA suit had used 1 unit of electrical energy. The oxygen consumption surprised him. It had only used 0.6 units. It seems the exoskeleton does most of the work. My own exertion isn't much different from when I'm resting. This was good news. Lin Ming looked at the scattered rubble and picked up a relatively large piece. Beep, beep, beep. The heavy-duty EVA suit immediately sounded an alarm. Current object mass 1. 4 tons. Overload. Overload. Power consumption doubled. Prolonged operation may damage the exoskeleton. Hearing the urgent warnings, Lin Ming quickly set the rock down. He hadn't expected a seemingly small piece to already weigh 1. 4 tons. It was nearly half a ton over the suit's maximum load capacity. Clicking his tongue, in surprise Lin Ming struck the rock with his fist, breaking it into one large and one small piece. He picked up the larger of the two. This time there was no warning. So Lin Ming sorted through the rubble, only collecting the stones that flickered with light. He carried one large and one small piece, totaling over 900 kilograms, and trudged back towards the survival pod. Due to the near maximum load, his return was much slower, taking over 20 minutes to reach the pod. Setting the stones down, Lin Ming remotely operated the pod's robotic arm to retrieve the rubble. 2 stones collected. Decomposition requires 1 unit of electrical energy. Decompose. True to form, seeing the prompt from the ether crystal system, Lin Ming selected no. He planned to gather more stones to determine the maximum volume 1 unit of energy could process. With each round trip taking over 40 minutes, Lin Ming made another trip, retrieved the stones with the robotic arm, and began experimenting incrementally. Eventually, Lin Ming confirmed that 1 unit of electrical energy could decompose exactly 1 cubic meter of stone, just as he had suspected. 3 stones collected. Total volume 996 cubic decimeters. Decomposition requires 1 unit of electrical energy. Decompose. Lin Ming confirmed yes. A grinding sound commenced. Shortly after, a prompt appeared. Decomposition results: grade universal chip X1, damaged universal chip X3, iron or X3. Just as I thought. Looking at the prompt, Lin Ming raised an eyebrow. He had seen a total of 4 black specks and 3 red specks on these 3 stones. So a flashing black speck indicated a universal chip and a flashing red speck indicated iron ore? His eyes could directly see the distribution of resources. Suppressing his inner excitement, Lin Ming calculated the costs. Mining and transporting 1 ton of stone consumed 1 unit of energy from the suit. Decomposing the stone cost another unit of energy. Trading this iron ore to Tang Howren would yield 6 units of energy. Including the chips and fragments, it was a decent profit overall. He wondered if it was due to his mining method or beginner's luck, but this time he only extracted 1 intact universal chip and not many damaged ones. Lin Ming shook his head, dismissing the thought, and opened his chat with Tang Howren. Brother Tang, 2 pieces of iron ore for 4 units of energy. Tang Howren immediately agreed to the trade and replied, impressive efficiency, Brother Lin. You collected 2 pieces of iron ore so quickly. Looking at Tang Howren's reply, Lin Ming sneered. He could tell that Tang Howren was probing his production efficiency. So Lin Ming replied, damn it, don't even mention it. I used the heavy-duty suit this time, which burned 1 unit of energy, not to mention a fair bit of oxygen and water. Decomposing the rocks cost another unit. All in all, I think I might have taken a loss. Reading Lin Ming's reply from his own desolate planet light years away, Tang Howren smirked. This guy had used 2 units of energy and at least 1 unit of oxygen to produce 2 pieces of iron ore. Not a huge profit. And he had even used the heavy-duty EVA suit. That thing was an energy guzzler. Tang Howren hadn't even considered using his own, saving it for emergencies. Besides, the suit was a consumable. Using it now meant it might not be available later. He noticed the sun was perpetually near the horizon, yet the surface temperature was still 50 or 60 degrees. If it were directly overhead, wouldn't the temperature reach 100 or 200 degrees or more? Under those conditions, a light EVA suit would be useless, making the heavy-duty suit the only option. Thinking this, Tang Howren gifted Lin Ming 100 milliliters of water. Have a drink and rest, Brother Lin. Seeing the gift of 100 milliliters of water, Lin Ming mentally cursed the man for his stinginess. He replied, sigh, I never thought I'd be a miner on a desolate planet so far from home. What a life. After a few more complaints in the chat, Lin Ming closed the window. He wouldn't let Tang Howren think iron ore was easy to mine, which would give him leverage to lower the price. So he held back 1 piece of iron ore. Back on Earth, he had been a salesman dealing daily with small business owners worth tens of millions, or even billions. They were all old foxes, there was no point trying to outplay each other. After a brief rest, Lin Ming resumed his shuttle between the rubble pile and the survival pod. With the ability to discern resource points, his efficiency in transporting stones improved markedly, directly bypassing those devoid of resources. After nearly 5 hours, Lin Ming finally moved half of the formidable nut-shaped rocks back. The spoils thereby obtained were substantial F-class universal chip X4, a damaged universal chip X7, a rusty iron ore X12. Lin Ming traded only half of the rusty iron ore, with Tang Howren storing the remainder in a metal barrel. No matter how valuable an item as its output increases, its worth will gradually diminish. Therefore, Lin Ming chose to control the quantity of rusty iron ore traded. How is this giving me the feeling of a diamond merchant? Lin Ming muttered to himself. He reviewed his current resources: electricity 20500, oxygen 13,500, pure water 8,500, food nutrient paste X2, rusty iron ore 7, F-class universal chip 4, universal chip fragments 8. The amount of electricity steadily increased, but the life-sustaining resources, oxygen, food, water, were all dwindling. For now only oxygen could Lin Ming produce self-sufficiently, no sources for food or water had been discovered. I hope the resource supply capsule can bring me some surprises. Watching the resource supply capsule on the holographic screen, already captured by the planet's gravity and an orbital insertion, Lin Ming rubbed his hands together excitedly. As the animation on the screen showed the resource supply capsule drawing closer to the survival pod, Lin Ming looked up to see a meteor streaking across the sky, trailing a white plume, descending along a parabolic trajectory toward the ground. When it was a few thousand meters above the ground, Lin Ming could already make out the vague shape of the resource supply capsule, similar to the survival pod, but much smaller in volume. Then flames erupted from the capsule's nose, initiating retropropulsion to decelerate. Warning: the resource supply capsule is about to arrive. Please stay at least 100 meters away from the marked point to avoid accidents. The ether crystal promptly marked the landing point of the resource supply capsule and the danger zone. Lin Ming simply entered the survival pod, watching through the glass dome as the capsule slowly touched down. After the resource supply capsule landed, a hatch opened on its side, ejecting a perfectly square metal box. The survival pod's robotic arm immediately moved to retrieve the metal box. Lin Ming saw that the metal box was quickly opened, revealing it was filled with gray blocks, each with a side length of exactly 1 decimeter. Resource supply capsule recovered. This acquisition: electricity X5, superalloy X1, universal code X6, fuel X1. Lin Ming: hey, are you skimming my resources? It's such a big box, should be 1 cubic meter, right? And you only gave me 5 units of electricity. Don't think I'm blind. What are those grayish white blocks? What about food, water, oxygen? And what exactly is a universal code? The ether crystal promptly responded. Inside the box were 950 units of energy storage blocks, originally capable of providing 950 units of electricity. But over the long ages, most of the electricity had dissipated. Currently, only 5 units can be recovered. The superalloy is the material used to make the supply container well suited for constructing expansion modules and has been recovered. The universe is not populated solely by humanoid life, or even carbon-based life for that matter. Besides carbon-based life, there are silicon-based, sulfur-based, arsenic-based, iron-based, amino-based life forms, and more. Their survival needs are not oxygen or water. Only energy is required by all life. Therefore, the universal resource supply capsules overwhelmingly provide only energy. As for universal codes, they are used for deciphering by life forms of corresponding life types. The more accurate the deciphered code, the higher the level of the resource supply capsule for that life form, and the better the supplies. After all, considering costs and total resource volume, the higher the level of a resource supply capsule in the universe, the fewer there are, and the greater the energy required to maintain normal internal resources. Lin Ming nodded, roughly understanding. The resource supply capsule was likely launched into space by other life forms out of charity or some other purpose. Since it was charity, costs had to be considered. They couldn't blindly invest in all high-level capsules. With this thought, he asked, so what exactly is a universal code? Can it be deciphered now? The text shifted, and the ether crystal's reply appeared on the screen. Of course. With an F-class universal chip, deciphering can be done now, but only the most basic code can be cracked. Lin Ming stroked his chin, already envisioning an incredibly complex computer or an exquisitely precise mechanical code box. After all, creations of extremely advanced life forms were bound to be extraordinary. With that thought, curiosity got the better of him. Can I take a look at the universal code? Of course. The ether crystal was obliging, and before long a metal tray appeared carrying a black object. The object was the size of a fist, completely black, reminding Lin Ming of an ink stick used for grinding ink in calligraphy. He noticed that the black object was floating above the metal tray, not making direct contact. He reached out to touch it, but the ether crystal stopped him. The universal code is preserved at temperatures below -200 degrees Celsius. To maintain deciphering precision, please refrain from any contact. Lin Ming immediately withdrew his inquisitive hand, staring motionlessly at the black object. It was a rectangular block polished to an extraordinary smoothness, its black surface even reflecting a faint image. Lin Ming clicked his tongue in admiration, never expecting the box storing the universal code to be so exquisite. He waited a long time, but the box never opened, so he asked in confusion, why isn't it opening? The ether crystal. Why would you need to open it? Lin Ming, how else do you decipher the code? The ether crystal, this object itself, is the code. Lin Ming instantly understood, exclaiming, I get it. The surface looks smooth, but actually has countless nanoscale patterns that need an electron microscope to see right. I went to college, I still know this much. The ether crystal. What is the universal language in the cosmos? Universal language. English. After all, in American commercial films, aliens all speak English. Lin Ming was momentarily at a loss for words. The ether crystal did not keep him in suspense and continued with text. It is mathematics. The ratio of this object's length, width, and height is the universal code. By measuring each side's length and performing mathematical calculations, the universal code can be deciphered. Lin Ming was somewhat bewildered. The ether crystal further explained, there is a fundamental consensus in the universe: advanced technological life forms may not directly transfer technology to lower-tech ones. Therefore, to prevent low-tech life forms from directly acquiring high-tech products from resource supply capsules, higher civilizations conveniently added universal codes to the corresponding supply capsules. Lin Ming let out an "oh," no longer daring to claim he understood. Fortunately, the ether crystal was not a teacher fond of asking questions. It simply continued its explanation. Therefore, by measuring the ratios of each side, the more precise the measurement, the higher the computational power, the deciphered code will approach the correct answer. Once you calculate the correct ratio to 10 decimal places, you obtain the most basic universal code capable of summoning the lowest grade carbon-based resource supply pod. Lin Ming nodded. At this moment, nodding was all he could do. Suddenly a spark of inspiration struck, and he raised a question. I recall in physics class the teacher mentioned that objects expand when heated and contract when cooled. Wouldn't that affect the accuracy of the measured ratios? The ether crystal replied, such a situation can occur. Therefore, measurement conditions are set to default values to avoid interference from other factors. Typically, Lin Ming had already learned to interject. Typically, it's at 0 degrees or 20 degrees Celsius under 1 standard atmosphere. The ether crystal fell silent. Lin Ming scratched his head. Is what I said wrong? The ether crystal replied, standard atmospheric pressure is merely a peculiarity of blue star, and Celsius is an artificial scale based on the freezing and boiling points of water under that pressure. These are not universal across the cosmos. Typically, the measurement conditions are absolute zero and absolute vacuum. Both conditions are difficult to achieve, thus reflecting a civilization's technological level. Lin Ming swallowed hard. Based on his current understanding of human technology, absolute zero could only be approached infinitely, never truly attained. After all, humanity could not prevent the exchange of heat between objects. With this thought, Lin Ming ventured to ask, are the other universal codes similar? When other forms of civilization obtain these codes, how do they determine which object corresponds to their own life form? The ether crystal answered, it's simple. The object before you is crafted from pure carbon. Holy crap! A single sentence enlightened him like a bolt from the blue. Lin Ming marveled at how the universal code was both profoundly simple and exquisitely ingenious. The universal code for carbon-based life was made of carbon, so for silicon-based life, it would be silicon. For sulfur-based, arsenic-based life forms adrift in space possessed a considerable level of technology. With a simple test, they could identify the elements composing the object. Then, by measuring the length, width, and height ratios to derive the universal code, they could summon a resource supply pod of the corresponding grade and life form. Brilliant! Lin Ming was already growing impatient. Your computational power should be decent, right? How many decimal places can you measure? The ether crystal replied, the civilization I belong to is one of the suppliers of resource pods and already possesses the highest level codes, so deciphering is unnecessary. However, I cannot disclose them. You must rely on your own strength and resources to crack them. With the resources and measurement conditions available to you, 2th-grade universal chips can barely decipher the code to 10 decimal places, yielding the most basic resource pod for your life form. The deciphering consumes 1 unit of electrical energy. Are 5th-grade universal chips really that poor? Lin Ming felt a pang of disappointment. Fortunately, he currently possessed 4th-grade chips and could attempt the initial deciphering. After he produced 2 universal chips, the ether crystal quickly began the deciphering process. Before long, it presented Lin Ming with a string of numbers 13, 124235555607, 657, 586, 6. Armed with the most basic universal code, Lin Ming replaced the burnt-out chip on the electromagnetic wave communicator with a universal chip and chose to broadcast a distress signal across a space with a radius of 1 light minute. 2 minutes later, the ether crystal indicated that nothing was found. That's perfectly normal. The distribution density of resource pods is far too sparse compared to the vastness of space. Lin Ming sighed. He had only 1th-grade universal chip left. He could only gamble on luck. Choosing a random direction, he sent a distress signal to a space 5 light minutes away in that direction. The ether crystal promptly reminded him, in 5 minutes the distress signal will reach the farthest point. The return signal will take the same amount of time. At most, after 10 minutes you can confirm whether there are any resource pods nearby. Watching the countdown on the light screen, Lin Ming felt a knot of tension. Time ticked by, and even after 9 minutes there was still nothing. Countdown for the return signal from the farthest point: 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1. No carbon-based life resource pod found within the designated space. Damn it. Seeing the notification on the light screen, Lin Ming slapped his thigh. This isn't right. That's not how it works in the movies. Usually in the last few seconds, bam bam bam, a whole fleet of resource pods comes flying in like the supply convoy has arrived. Hey, is there something wrong with the deciphered code? The ether crystal simply refused to respond. Lin Ming felt helpless. All right, back to work. I need to get more universal chips. As he stood up, Lin Ming remembered he still had 8 damaged universal chips, so he asked, you said earlier that 10 damaged chips could likely be repaired into 1 intact chip. Can 8 damaged chips also have a chance of being repaired into 1 intact chip? This time the ether crystal replied, as long as the chips are largely intact, theoretically 2 damaged universal chips can be repaired into 1 intact chip. However, the probability is extremely low and the reward does not justify the risk. Lin Ming nodded. Then let's just try it with the 8 damaged chips. Missing 2 shouldn't make much of a difference. My luck can't get any worse today anyway. Repairing the universal chips requires 1 unit of electrical energy. Proceed with repair. Seeing the prompt on the light screen, Lin Ming waved his hand. Go ahead, repair them. Everything needs electrical energy. It seems electrical energy is the most precious resource of all. With a crackling sound after a series of manipulations by the ether crystal, a complete grade universal chip soon appeared before Lin Ming. Repair successful. Hey! Lin Ming's mood lifted slightly. He replaced the chip on the electromagnetic wave communicator, once more chose a direction and transmitted a distress signal. The ether crystal again reminded, in 5 minutes the distress signal will reach the farthest point. The return signal will take the same amount of time. At most, after 10 minutes you can confirm whether there are any resource pods nearby. Then came a 10-minute countdown. When the countdown ticked down to 3 minutes and 17 seconds, the light screen changed. Detected carbon-based life resource pod 1. Based on the pod's current orbit and velocity, estimated arrival in 13 hours. Wow, that's pretty fast. Lin Ming was overjoyed. The previous basic resource pod less than 1 light minute away had taken 6 hours to arrive. This resource pod over 3 light minutes away would arrive in just 13 hours, clearly much faster. Watching the animation on the light screen showing the pod's trajectory change and approach, Lin Ming felt a lightness in his step. He clapped his hands. There's still some stone left. He'll pick it up, decompose it, sell it to Tang Howren, and then take a break. After confirming that no new resource supply capsules remained in the remaining space, the diligent Lin Ming donned his heavy-load extravehicular suit and set off once more. Time seemed to slip away unnoticed amid the joyous labor. In less than 5 hours, Lin Ming had transported and decomposed all the remaining rocks. Once the decomposition was complete, Lin Ming's electrical energy had dwindled to a mere 5 units. He tallied his spoils: grade universal chip X3, damaged universal chips X12, and rust iron, or X15. To his dismay, the number of damaged universal chips had increased while intact ones had dwindled. Fortunately, the count of rust iron ore had reached 23 pieces. Lin Ming experimented and found that 1 unit of electrical energy could decompose at most 3 pieces of rust iron ore, exceeding that would increase energy consumption. After a moment's thought, he opened Tang Howren's chat window and offered 8 pieces of rust iron ore for trade. Brother Lin, what a windfall. Tang Howren replied swiftly. Your efficiency is impressive. With this output, you'll have no worries about oxygen or electricity. Lin Ming casually replied, waiting for Tang Howren to confirm the trade, but Tang Howren hesitated. Sensing something amiss, Lin Ming asked, what's going on? After a long pause, Tang Howren responded, Brother Lin, could you lower the price a bit? A bit short on electricity. Lin Ming realized this was an attempt to drive down the price. Lin Ming flatly refused. The reason he traded rust iron ore with Tang Howren was for his stable channels and ability to buy in bulk. He hadn't expected price haggling after just 2 transactions. He had made it clear to Tang Howren that at the same price the rust iron ore would be sold to him first. Now that Tang was trying to lower the price, Lin Ming wouldn't indulge him. He listed 8 pieces of rust iron ore on the interstellar exchange at 2.5 units of electricity per piece. Within 10 seconds the rust iron ore was snapped up. Tang Howren immediately messaged, Brother Lin, what are you doing? Lin Ming replied, what? Tang quickly responded, didn't we agree you'd sell the rust iron ore only to me? Lin Ming said, I said I'd sell to you first at the same price. Now that you're trying to lower it, I can't sell. Tang Howren argued, Brother Lin, it's not that I'm trying to lower the price, but you know the market. Everything is expensive at first, but as supply accumulates, prices naturally drop. Lin Ming countered, but on the interstellar exchange I haven't seen anyone else selling rust iron ore. Tang Howren replied, that's because we've bought up everything that appeared. Brother Lin, the one who just bought your ore was also our man. We're determined to secure exclusive rights to rust iron ore. I know you want to sell high, but we've tried. The maximum price for rust iron ore is 3 units of electricity. Lin Ming calling you brother is out of respect. To be honest, before coming to this godforsaken place, I ran several trading companies. I've played this game many times. As the saying goes, more friends mean more paths, fewer enemies mean fewer walls. Lin Ming 1, word 1. 5 units of electricity per piece of rust iron ore, and I won't lower the price again. If you dare list it higher on the interstellar exchange, you're no friend of mine. Reading Tang Howren's reply, Lin Ming couldn't help but laugh. The profiteer's true colors had surfaced so quickly. promising not to lower the price again. He had said the same thing just hours ago. Even if they were thousands of light years apart, and might never meet in this lifetime, even if Tang Howren stood before him, Lin Ming would not bow to his threats. He had seen plenty of small-time businessmen. Someone as impatient as Tang Howren was likely a minor player with an annual turnover of a few million less than 5 profit and a need to evade taxes. True veterans, even if they played dirty behind the scenes, at least maintained a veneer of civility face-to-face. After decades of struggle, having barely crawled out of the gutter to legitimacy, they valued their reputation. Lin Ming ceased to engage Tang Howren. Instead, he listed the remaining 15 pieces of rust iron ore on the interstellar exchange at 3 units of electricity each. As before, they were snapped up within 10 seconds. The chat channel of the interstellar exchange echoed with players, "You beasts! Couldn't you leave a single piece of rust iron ore for me? My oxygen is nearly half gone." Exactly. ID pay 5 units of electricity. Anyone else have rust iron ore to list? Big shot, spare a crumb for a little guy? I've been hit by a storm and my escape pod has a crack from a rock. Oxygen is leaking fast. They'll suffocate without a new source. Just then a message from Tang Howren appeared in the chat, selling large quantities of rust iron or 8 units of electricity per piece. Transaction method: gift me 5 units of electricity, first then trade. Honest business, fair to all. Seeing Tang Howren's message, Lin Ming had to give him 2 thumbs up. The interstellar exchange capped rust iron ore at 3 units of electricity per piece, but it didn't restrict gifting. This method allowed Tang to inflate the price while avoiding all risk, a scheme few would think of. Since the rift with Tang Howren was already open and Lin Ming had long planned to share the source of rust iron ore with other players, he composed a message: "No need to overpay for rust iron ore. Near your spawn point there are large rocks. Mine them with a heavy load extravehicular suit and decompose them to obtain rust iron ore. No middlemen taking a cut." After editing, Lin Ming decisively sent the message to both the interstellar exchange chat channel and the region. Within 5 seconds, Tang Howren messaged him, "Lin Ming, what are you doing? Cutting off someone's livelihood is like killing their parents. Retract the message immediately." Lin Ming sneered and typed in the chat box, "Then I'm sorry you've become an orphan." He sent the message and blocked Tang Howren in one swift motion. His decision to release the information wasn't just out of spite for Tang, it was a calculated move. At this moment, scattered survivors on desolate planets across the galaxy were struggling to survive, and early development was always the slowest. Only if the vast majority advanced trading with one another and sharing resources could they eke out a chance of survival in these harsh, untamed worlds. Moreover, Lin Ming had already earned 71 units of electricity, giving him a slight edge over other players. Letting Tang's group grow unchecked would allow them to overtake him. If that happened, even if he spotted resource points, he would fall behind step by step. Having done all this, Lin Ming ignored the uproar in the chat and prepared to rest. The carbon-based life support pod was due to arrive in 8 hours, at just enough time for a good sleep. He had 8 units of oxygen left. Normal sleep would consume at least 4 units. Given the preciousness of oxygen, Lin Ming decided to enter hibernation. Hibernation required only 1 unit of oxygen and 1 unit of electricity. With 71 units of electricity, he didn't mind the minor drain. He lay down in the hibernation pod, set it for 8 hours, and the comfortable environment gradually lulled his mind into drowsiness as he drifted off to sleep. 8 hours later, the hibernation pod roused Lin Ming on schedule. He opened his eyes, looked around in confusion, then checked the time. Damn, did I really sleep for 8 hours? Lin Ming sat up from the hibernation pod in disbelief. He now understood why there was a warning: hibernation does not reduce mental stress, avoid prolonged use. Because it felt as though he had just fallen asleep before being awakened with no memory in between, as if a switch had been flipped in his brain. In contrast, normal sleep, even if dreamless, left one with a sense of having passed through time upon waking. This left Lin Ming physically rested, but mentally fatigued, as if he hadn't truly rested. Today's goal: gather more oxygen, find some food or water, and reward myself with a proper sleep. Lin Ming stretched slightly, then activated the ether crystal. The holographic screen showed that the carbon-based resource supply pod would arrive in approximately 10 minutes. Soon a streak of light appeared on the horizon, trailing a long flame as it flew straight toward Lin Ming's location. Midair, the carbon-based resource supply pod began to decelerate, landing steadily near the escape pod. As before, the hatch opened, releasing an alloy cube. Resource supply pod recovered. This acquisition: 3D metal printer X1, super alloy X1, big mouth flower seeds X5, fuel X1. That's it. Lin Ming was stunned by the stinginess of the carbon-based resource pod. It was no different from the previous general supply pod. Lin Ming touched the ether crystal to inspect each item's attributes. 3D metal printer type 1. Description: uses ultra-fine metal powder as raw material to print items according to blueprints with a maximum resolution of 100 micrometers. Consumption: 1 unit of electricity per hour. Seems decent. Seeing the description, Lin Ming thought it was a valuable tool. With blueprints and ultra-fine metal powder, he could manufacture various metal devices. He had plenty of electricity. Ultra-fine metal powder could be obtained by decomposing rust iron or into ultra-fine iron powder, or by decomposing superalloy into powder. No worries there. However, he lacked manufacturing blueprints. He didn't have a single one. As the escape pod began assembling the 3D metal printer, Lin Ming turned to examine the description of the big mouth flower seeds. The moment he read it, his eyes widened in shock. Damn, such a creature exists in the universe. Big mouth flower seed, a special plant cultivated using biotechnology capable of surviving in extreme environments. Upon maturity, it grows a lantern-shaped mouth that can devour other plants, adapting to their traits while retaining its own robust resilience. The description of the big mouth flower was quite obscure, and it took Lin Ming several readings to grasp its purpose. Simply put, the big mouth flower is undemanding regarding its growth environment. After devouring other plants, it can mutate into them while preserving its strong adaptability. For instance, if the big mouth flower devours rice, it will transform into a rice plant, but without requiring the typical growing conditions for rice. In plain terms, it becomes whatever it eats. As expected from a carbon-based life resource supply pod, it only provides high-quality items. With the big mouth flower seed in hand, the next step was to germinate and nurture it to maturity. Generally, during the germination stage, a suitable temperature and adequate moisture suffice, and Lin Ming already met these conditions for the big mouth flower. However, to bring the big mouth flower to maturity, nutrients were essential. No matter how harsh the environment it could endure, the fundamental law of conservation of matter still applied. At that moment, the most accessible high-quality waste Lin Ming could obtain was human excrement. Though it sounded repulsive, Lin Ming, who had rural life experience, recalled a compost heap near his childhood home. The adults said it was even more effective than chemical fertilizer. A person aiming for great achievements overlooks trivial details. Lin Ming quickly overcame his physical revulsion and posted several trade links on the interstellar exchange. 0.5 units of oxygen in exchange for 500 milliliters of urine. 0.5 units of oxygen in exchange for 500 g of feces. After posting the links, Lin Ming donned his heavy-duty EVA suit and went out to continue mining rocks. After all, he only had 7 units of oxygen left, insufficient even for a full day of strenuous activity. Moreover, he needed to trade oxygen for resources, so without intensified mining efforts, his oxygen reserves would soon deplete. Leaving the survival pod, Lin Ming fixed his gaze on an area with more rubble. Soon parts of those rocks began to flicker with red light points. Lin Ming roughly estimated that valuable rocks accounted for less than a third of the total, all marked by red. This meant that without his ability to see resource points, he would need to exert over 3 times the labor. Lin Ming diligently shuttled between the rubble area and the survival pod. After several hours at the cost of 5 units of electricity, he obtained 20 pieces of rust iron ore. With only 2 units of oxygen remaining, Lin Ming wasted no time and directly decomposed all the rust iron ore. This decomposition consumed 7 units of electricity, yielding 20 units of oxygen and 20 units of ultra-fine iron powder. Phew, at least I won't suffocate anymore. Lin Ming returned to the survival pod, shed his heavy-duty EVA suit for a brief rest, and tapped the ether crystal to open the interstellar exchange channel. As soon as it opened, thousands of trade links flashed before his eyes, overwhelming him. It made sense. Rust iron ore capable of producing oxygen was in high demand, once driven up to an exorbitant price of 8 units of electricity per piece by Tang Howren. Now, thanks to Lin Ming's guidance, some players knew how to mine rust iron ore, but due to the time and electricity costs, its price remained stable at 2 units of electricity per piece. And Lin Ming was offering oxygen in exchange for what they deemed worthless excrement. How could players let such a good deal slip away? Each trade request came with a note. Lin Ming skimmed a few. Lin Ming, big bro, I'm your fan. Thanks for sharing the rust iron mining method. This turd I just took is still warm, free of charge. Lin Ming, big bro, didn't expect you to have this taste. I have diabetes, so mine tastes better than others. Lin Ming, big bro, you rejected my trade before, but now you're buying. He didn't know you were so sly. This time sis will throw in an extra pair of worn stockings. Damn. Lin Ming nearly choked on his breath. What were these people thinking? Upon seeing the third note, he raised an eyebrow, noticing a familiar name, Qin Lingling. After a moment's thought, Lin Ming opened Qin Lingling's temporary trade chat. Though her words were flirtatious, her avatar showed a woman in her mid-20s with a seductive smile curling at her lips. This indicated she was already a part of society, well aware of her bowtie's advantages and how to wield them. Lin Ming sent a message, "You there?" Qin Lingling replied quickly, "A Lin Ming, big bro, I'm here." She then sent a 10-second video showing a scantily clad long-legged beauty in a slip dress and black stockings dancing with an alluring and bold posture. Qin Lingling video. Lin Ming watched the video with a critical eye, inwardly marveling at the slender waist and abundant curves. Suppressing his restlessness, Lin Ming asked Qin Lingling, "Still have urine?" Qin Lingling. Don't worry Lin Ming big bro, I've been saving it for you, but only 300 milliliters. Lin Ming nodded, aware beforehand that her quantity was insufficient. He still traded with her because she had other uses. He replied, "It'll take a loss, 0.5 units of oxygen for 300 milliliters of urine. You mentioned a pair of worn stockings earlier." Qin Lingling. Yes big bro. These stockings are worn. If you don't believe me, I can record a video of me taking them off. Lin Ming. No need for the video. That's fine. He clicked send and initiated the trade. Qin Lingling. Okay Lin Ming big bro, I'm taking them off now. Qin Lingling video. The trade completed. Lin Ming didn't handle the items directly. The ether crystal stored them in a metal cylinder, including the still warm worn black stockings. He didn't pay extra for Qin Lingling's worn stockings out of some perverse desire, but because he vaguely recalled that successful composting required microorganisms in addition to raw materials. And worn stockings were an ideal source of microorganisms. Of course, this had nothing to do with gender. A man's socks would achieve the same effect. But the thought of trading with men for socks they'd worn for who knows how long sent a chill down Lin Ming's spine. After completing the trade, Lin Ming exchanged 5 units of oxygen with 10 other players, sealing the acquired items securely in metal cylinders to ensure no leakage. Even so, he still felt a bit uneasy, so he simply tossed the metal cylinders into the transfer chamber, out of sight, out of mind. With that done, Lin Ming took out an grade universal chip, replaced the one on the electromagnetic wave communicator, and said to the ether crystal, "Use strong electromagnetic waves to scan the surrounding 10 kilometers, mapping the terrain up to 5 meters underground in 3D. Ether crystal quickly complied. Powerful electromagnetic waves covered a radius of 10 kilometers, and before long, a pale blue light curtain appeared before Lin Ming's eyes, displaying a map of the surrounding 10 kilometers. The lower half of the map was dark brown, indicating that 5 meters underground was all soil. The surface was covered with gravel and broken stones. Lin Ming noticed that in the opposite direction of Gaojiangwo, about 3 to 4 kilometers away, there was an underground pit resembling an ant nest. Lin Ming carefully checked the scale and found that these pits had a diameter of over 2 meters, enough to accommodate him in his heavy-duty exosuit. The pits were dendritic, branching and winding downward. Clearly there were more branches deeper underground, but beyond 5 meters the electromagnetic waves could not detect them. Such a structure is definitely not naturally formed, but excavated by some kind of life form. I just don't know if these life forms are still in the pits. The thought that some unknown life might exist 3 to 4 kilometers away made Lin Ming a bit nervous. As he was carefully studying the layout of the pits, he suddenly felt a slight heat in his eyes. On the originally unremarkable map, countless dots appeared densely, some red, some black, and some green. So I can also see resource points on the map. Looking at the dense dots, Lin Ming was very excited. Around him, there were countless red dots, meaning that rust iron ore was extremely widespread, and he wouldn't have to worry about oxygen for a short while. He zoomed in on the underground pits and saw sparse green dots 3 meters below the surface. Moreover, the green dots were moving back and forth within the pits, even occasionally lingering near the entrances. Living creatures, moving creatures. Lin Ming's mood instantly improved. Living creatures meant meat to eat. Moreover, there would likely be water and food near creatures. He carefully observed the movement paths of the green dots and found that they were very regular, as if patrolling taking place every 10 minutes. Lin Ming decided to take action. Since he might have to deal with unknown creatures this time, he did not overestimate himself. Instead, he consumed 2 units of electrical energy and had the 3D metal printer use 2 units of superalloy to print a greatsword and a heavy shield. In less than 10 minutes, the 3D metal printer completed its task. The greatsword's blade was sharp, gleaming with cold light, and the heavy shield was thick, giving a sense of security. Lin Ming tried to lift the greatsword and found it weighed 100 or 200 jin. With his strength, he could barely move it. Fortunately, he had the heavy-duty exosuit. After putting on the exosuit and replenishing consumables, Lin Ming easily picked up the sword and shield and left the survival pod. Compared to sending distress signals over ultra-long distances, the power consumption of the electromagnetic wave communicator for mapping the surroundings was much smaller. An F-grade universal chip could last for 1 hour before burning out. Thus, Lin Ming effectively carried a real-time map. After about 20 minutes, he arrived near the entrance of the pit and hid behind a rock about 50 meters away. On the light curtain map, the patrolling green dot slowly climbed up along the sloping pit and soon reached the end. Lin Ming looked up and saw a pitch-black crab as large as a wash basin crawling out of the nearby pit. It's actually a crab. Lin Ming raised an eyebrow slightly. After leaving the entrance, the crab glanced at the distant setting sun, shifted its angle to align its black carapace with the sun, lifted its body slightly, and then remained motionless. Is this thing sunbathing? Lin Ming recalled the Brazilian tortoise he used to keep, which needed to bask its shell in the sun every day. Did crabs also have this habit? Estimating the size of the black crab, Lin Ming felt he could handle it. He checked the real-time map and saw that the other crabs were patrolling as usual in the pits, so he decided to sneak over. Lin Ming circled around and crept up behind the black crab. When he was about 10 meters away, the black crab seemed to sense something flattened its body and prepared to turn. Lin Ming instantly burst into action, maximizing the power of his heavy-duty exosuit, leaping over a distance of more than 10 meters and swinging the greatsword with his right hand. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The black crab was cleaved in two from the middle, and sparks kept flashing. Holy shit! After the sparks stopped, Lin Ming saw the inside of the black crab and couldn't help exclaiming. This was no creature, it was clearly an electronic crab. Inside there were no familiar crab paste, crab roe, or crab lungs, but black electronic circuit boards and energy storage batteries. In the middle of the circuit board, Lin Ming saw a familiar figure, a universal chip. Unfortunately, the universal chip had been cut in half and was unusable. Lin Ming felt disappointed. He hadn't expected that after harboring such great hopes he would catch an electronic crab without even a bite of meat. Recalling the electronic crab's sunbathing behavior, it was clearly using solar energy to charge. Solar charging. Lin Ming remembered that among the survival pod's accessories there was a damaged solar panel. Could the materials extracted from this crab be used to repair the solar panel? Holding the sword and shield in his right hand, Lin Ming grabbed two crab legs with his left hand, picked up the severed electronic crab, and strode toward the survival pod. Decomposing the mimic crab requires 1 unit of electrical energy. Decompose. Looking at the prompt from the ether crystal, Lin Ming selected yes. So this thing is called a mimic crab. Mimic crab recycled. This harvest high-purity silicon ingot X2, damaged universal chip X1, damaged circuit board X1, damaged electromagnetic coil X1. High-purity silicon ingots can be used to repair the solar panel. Current repair requirements are as follows. 1. Basic repair. Repair the solar panel's basic functions to make it usable. Consumes high-purity silicon ingot X10, electromagnetic coil X1. 2. Complete repair. Fully repair the solar panel to maximize its power generation capacity. Consumes high-purity silicon ingot X50, electromagnetic coil X5. It can indeed be done. Seeing the materials needed to repair the solar panel, Lin Ming felt a bit troubled. Killing the mimic crab would not affect the output of high-purity silicon ingots, but the electromagnetic coil circuit boards and universal chips would all be damaged. If he wanted intact electromagnetic coils, he would have to capture the mimic crab alive. But with such a large creature, if he tried to grab it directly, even if he could catch it, Lin Ming worried that the mimic crab's sharp claws would puncture his heavy-duty exosuit, and he currently had no repair materials. After pondering for a long time, Lin Ming recalled the movement the mimic crab made after leaving the entrance, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Donning the heavy-duty EVA suit, Lin Ming set off anew. This time he carried no superalloy greatsword, only a superalloy heavy shield, and had the greatsword melted down for the 3D printer to weave a superalloy net. By now the F-grade universal chip on the electromagnetic wave communicator had been damaged. Lin Ming replaced it with a new one, keeping real-time surveillance of the pit's interior. The disappearance of a single mimic crab did not cause much upheaval. Upon noticing the loss of a companion, several mimic crabs clustered together. Before long they reassigned their patrol routes. Each mimic crab's patrol range expanded by about 20%, thus filling the gap left by the missing one. Quite intelligent, Lin Ming muttered to himself, watching the real-time map, where the green dots resumed their orderly movement. Upon reaching the pit entrance, Lin Ming began his work. He set down the superalloy heavy shield and started moving rocks. With the aid of the heavy-duty EVA suit, millstone-sized boulders were effortlessly lifted and placed 2 meters away from the pit's edge. Then with unceasing hands, Lin Ming stacked stone after stone, enclosing the pit entrance with a meter-high wall, leaving only a half-meter gap. Half an hour had passed when he finished. Lin Ming opened the real-time map, observing the green dots. As usual, in a few minutes the outermost patrolling mimic crab would begin sunbathing to recharge. Indeed, with second-by-second precision, the patrolling mimic crab halted abruptly, then retraced its path, climbing upward along the sloping tunnel. Lin Ming crouched behind the stone wall, poking only half his head out, watching a pitch-black creature identical to the previous mimic crab crawl out of the hole. Once outside, the mimic crab habitually checked the sun's position, then stood dazed. A full minute passed before the mimic crab's low-computing universal chip comprehended the situation, and it began groping along the stone wall. Seeing the mimic crab leave through the gap, Lin Ming, swift and sharp-eyed, hoisted a massive stone and blocked the opening. Swish, swish, swish. The mimic crab reacted with lightning speed, attempting to flee back into the pit the moment Lin Ming appeared, only to find the entrance sealed by a boulder. Swish. Without hesitation, the mimic crab dashed more than 10 meters away from Lin Ming. Watching the swift creature escape, Lin Ming was in no hurry. Leisurely, he picked up the heavy shield nearby and trailed the mimic crab at a distance. After some experimentation, Lin Ming discovered that the mimic crab's alert zone was 10 meters. If he stepped within 10 meters of the mimic crab, it would instantly flee. Otherwise, deeming the area safe, it would try to turn its back to the sun and begin recharging. Lin Ming had no intention of allowing it to recharge. He carried the heavy shield both to defend against a potential counterattack and to block sunlight, preventing the mimic crab from charging. The mimic crab that came out to recharge must have little stored energy. After a prolonged chase, Lin Ming was confident it would drain its remaining power. As he thought, after trailing the mimic crab for half an hour, it ceased reacting to his approach and simply lay there attempting to recharge. Lin Ming did not rush to grab it directly. Who knew how much backup power the little creature had left? He stood 5 meters away, holding the shield high, completely blocking the sunlight over the mimic crab's area. After about 10 minutes, Lin Ming tried approaching the mimic crab. It remained motionless. He drew closer, then gently poked it with the shield. It still showed no response. Hey, it must be out of power, Lin Ming chuckled. Even so, he refrained from touching it, instead pulling out the superalloy net from around his waist and trapping the mimic crab inside. Then holding the net in his right hand and shielding the sun with the shield in his left to prevent the mimic crab from sneaking a charge, Lin Ming soon returned to the survival pod. A dormant mimic crab detected. You may choose the following 2 options. Option 1, recycle mimic crab. Obtain high-purity silicon ingot X2, grade universal chip X1, a circuit board X1, electromagnetic coil X1. Option 2, reprogram the mimic crab to gain full control. Seeing option 2, Lin Ming was taken. He could actually reprogram the mimic crab. Lin Ming naturally selected option 2. Reprogramming the mimic crab requires 1 unit of electricity. Confirm. Confirm. After confirming about 10 seconds later, the ether crystal prompted that the reprogramming was complete. That fast? Lin Ming was surprised. Since the mimic crab was in a dormant, energy-depleted state, he had the ether crystal place it outside the pod to let it recharge under the sun. He could have directly used the pod's reserve power to charge it, but the sun was hanging right there. Why waste it? 10 minutes later, the mimic crab finished charging and stood quietly at the pod's exit. Lin Ming had it pass through the airlock for thermal sanitation before letting it into the living compartment. The ether crystal informed Lin Ming that he could simply voice commands, and the mimic crab would obey. So Lin Ming issued a command: turn around. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The mimic crab spun in place. Lie down. Shake hands. Roll over. Lin Ming was training it like a dog having a blast. After playing for a while, Lin Ming asked the ether crystal, what else can it do? The ether crystal replied, anything within its capabilities, mining, patrolling, fighting, and so on. Then a beam of light projected from the ether crystal, showing the mimic crab's perspective. Lin Ming's 183-meter frame appeared towering in the view. Excellent. I can use this little guy to explore the pit. Lin Ming's heart stirred. The electromagnetic wave communicator could only probe 5 meters underground. A deeper was impossible. The mimic crab could blend in and share a live feed with Lin Ming. Extremely useful. Caution: due to hardware limitations, the maximum connection distance with the mimic crab is 10 kilometers, but may be shortened under complex electromagnetic conditions. It is recommended to add to patrol commands if no command is received. Immediately return by the original route. Lin Ming nodded. Electromagnetic waves traveled a very short distance underground, and the ether crystal's tip was indeed helpful. He changed into the heavy-duty EVA suit, restocked supplies, and said to the motionless mimic crab beside him, let's go. Follow me. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The mimic crab immediately trotted along, cheerfully trailing behind Lin Ming. The man and the crab soon reached the vicinity of the pit entrance. Through the real-time map, Lin Ming observed that the remaining few simulated crabs had reorganized their duties, expanding their patrol territory and proceeding with their rounds in a methodical manner. This is the beauty of electronic pets. As long as energy is sufficient, they never tire. Are all things black and rugged this durable? Lin Ming murmured to himself, then issued a command to the simulated crab: go explore the interior of the pit. Remember, if you lose contact or your energy is about to deplete, return along the same path as quickly as possible. The simulated crab extended its 2 large pincers and gave a snap indicating understanding, then swiftly scurried into the pit. Once inside, it was engulfed in utter darkness. Fortunately, the simulated crab was equipped with infrared emitters and probes capable of transmitting images with acceptable clarity. Lin Ming noticed that the pit walls were covered with marks of excavation, clearly not natural formations, but dug out bit by the simulated crab's pincers. As the simulated crab continued descending along the gentle slope, the ether crystal began meticulously rendering a 3D model of the pit interior. Crunch, crunch, crunch. A faint sound reached Lin Ming's ears. On the map's real-time monitor, he saw another patrolling simulated crab slowly approaching. Lin Ming's heart tightened slightly. How would the other simulated crab react upon encountering a companion that had vanished and reappeared? Through the video feed, Lin Ming saw the indigenous simulated crab assume a defensive posture, waving its 2 large pincers menacingly and emitting clacking warning sounds. The controlled simulated crab also extended its pincers and snapped them in a rhythmic pattern producing the same sounds. Subsequently, the indigenous simulated crab ceased its vigilance, ignored the intruder, and resumed its patrol. Lin Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Good, I passed the friend or foe identification system. The simulated crab continued downward, reaching a fork in the path, where two simulated crabs were alternating patrols on each branch. Lin Ming chose one side arbitrarily and directed the simulated crab to proceed deeper. Crunch, crunch, crunch. After deceiving its former companion with the pincer gesture once more, the simulated crab had descended over 5 meters underground, a region unexplored by Lin Ming. He saw that this branch diverged into two more, but one of the forks no longer sloped downward. The terrain began to level out. Lin Ming's heart stirred, and he directed the simulated crab toward the level fork. After a few meters, he saw 3 simulated crabs forming a circle, their pincers agitating the ground in front of them. There was liquid in the pit. Lin Ming could vaguely discern ripples appearing on the ground as the pincers stirred. Unmistakably liquid. He just didn't know if it was water or something else. Lin Ming glanced at the 3D pit model rendered by the ether crystal, his eyes lingering for a moment. His eyes slightly warm. Lin Ming saw blue liquid light points in that pit area. It was water. Lin Ming nearly cried out in excitement. He had only 6 liters of water left, and that was after extreme conservation. He never drank unless parched. Discovering a water source now, how could he not be thrilled? Using electromagnetic waves, he commanded the simulated crab to return via the original route. Lin Ming decided this time to have the crab bring a metal cylinder down and fetch a cylinder of water first. But with patrolling simulated crabs everywhere, retrieving water directly would inevitably provoke an encirclement. After some thought, Lin Ming decided to divide and conquer. He had the simulated crab re-enter the pit and send a communication signal to the outermost simulated crab requesting it to come out for charging, while the controlled one took over its patrol. The indigenous simulated crab, unsuspecting, obediently vacated its patrol route and crawled out of the pit, preparing to bask in the sun to recharge. Where was the sun? The simulated crab idled for a minute before realizing something was wrong. It began circling around the stone wall. Thus Lin Ming repeated the trick and captured another simulated crab that had fallen into hibernation from lack of power. Next, Lin Ming shuttled between the survival pod and the pit entrance, repeatedly capturing a total of 5 simulated crabs in one go. Consequently, only 3 simulated crabs remained patrolling the upper layer of the pit. Security forces drastically reduced. Now commanding 6 simulated crabs, Lin Ming held the upper hand in terms of strength. Crunch, 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 crunch. The 6 crabs lined up in a long procession, obediently trailing behind Lin Ming, waving their pincers. He issued each of the 6 crabs a metal cylinder and ordered them to fetch water. The crab squadron charged directly into the pit. This time there was no password exchange. Upon encountering a surviving patrolling crab, 2 crabs immediately pinned it down, while the rest carried their metal cylinders to retrieve water. Soon the crab squadron emerged with 6 cylinders filled with water, along with a constantly struggling indigenous simulated crab they had dragged back. Lin Ming lifted 1 metal cylinder in each hand while the remaining crabs hoisted the other cylinders, and the captured indigenous crab following him in a grand procession back to the survival pod. After reprogramming the struggling crab, Lin Ming's crab squadron expanded to 7. The survival pod quickly retrieved the metal cylinders and determined that the liquid inside was water, though contaminated. Contaminated? How exactly? Lin Ming opened the contaminated water entry in his database, and the information for contaminated stinking water appeared. Contaminated stinking water description: a foul-smelling sewage. Believe me, you wouldn't want to drink it. Gazing at the murky image, Lin Ming felt as if he could smell the stench, nearly retching his stomach contents. Lin Ming asked, "Can it be purified using electrical energy?" The ether crystal quickly replied, "Every 5 units of contaminated stinking water can be purified into 4 units of pure water and 1 unit of contaminant." Pure water needed no explanation, so Lin Ming looked up the entry for contaminant. Description: a contaminant rich in humus. Ingesting it would cause diarrhea in animals, yet it contains essential nutrients for plant growth. Seeing the contaminant entry, Lin Ming was overjoyed. This wasn't a pollutant, it was excellent fertilizer. Purify everything. Purify it all. Consuming 1 unit of electrical energy, Lin Ming soon obtained 5 cylinders of pure water and 1 cylinder of contaminant. The pure water was directly added to the survival pod's tank, and Lin Ming saw the water volume surge from 5 liters to 55 liters. With a water source secured, Lin Ming chugged a few gulps delightedly and said, "Now I have enough to last for days. I could even take a bath." But bathing was just a fantasy for now. The current water reserves were still insufficient. He needed to stockpile more. Plus, electrolysis of water was one source of oxygen. In short, with iron, ore, and water, Lin Ming no longer had to worry about oxygen shortage. At this moment, Lin Ming had only 8 units of oxygen left. He directly issued a command to the remaining 7 mimic crabs. My little ones, you have rested for 5 minutes. It is time to work. Go gather all the stones you can carry nearby and pile them up near the survival pod. Click, click, click. The 7 mimic crabs swiftly sprang into action, scouring the vicinity for stones and stacking them on the vacant ground beside the survival pod. Lin Ming observed that the mimic crabs could lift stones roughly the size of their own bodies, a testament to their impressive load-bearing capacity. The greatest advantage was that the mimic crabs required no electricity from the survival pod, subsisting solely on sunlight. Moreover, they were tireless workers, far superior to the black-skinned predecessors from centuries past who needed whips and a steady supply of food. While the mimic crabs gathered stones, Lin Ming opened the survival pod interface, consuming a nutrient paste as he checked his current resources: fuel 2,100, electricity 43,500, oxygen 8,500, pure water 5,500L, food nutrient paste X2, ultrafine iron powder 21, superalloy 2, space 212, accessories solar panel damaged, electromagnetic wave communicator damaged, cryopod available, escape pod available, rust iron ore 0, universal chip 0, chip fragments 13. At present, water and electricity were relatively abundant and oxygen was not a concern. The only necessity was food. Lin Ming entered the Star Exchange only to find that the traded items were still basic resources, with rust iron ore being exceedingly rare. He had no choice but to give up. Glancing at the time, he had been awake for 7 or 8 hours straight. Feeling drowsy after consuming the nutrient paste, Lin Ming decided to take a short nap. With ample oxygen, Lin Ming opted for normal sleep instead of hibernation. 2 hours later, he awoke with a yawn. Through the shared perspective of the mimic crabs, he saw that the stones outside had been piled into 7 small mounds. Of course, these mounds were from the mimic crab's perspective. Peering through the glass dome atop the survival pod, Lin Ming estimated each pile to be only 2 or 3 cubic meters. Time to work. Lin Ming manipulated the mechanical arm, continuously hauling stones into the survival pod. Once a cubic meter of stone was gathered, he began the decomposition process. Humming with energy, the electricity was steadily consumed. After decomposing 17 cubic meters of stone, Lin Ming reaped a bountiful harvest. This decomposition yields grade universal chip X20, damaged universal chip X96, rust iron ore X53. Lin Ming collected all the universal chips for future use and promptly decomposed the rust iron ore. After expending 18 units of electricity, the ore was converted into 53 units of oxygen and an equal amount of ultra-fine iron powder. Such an electricity-intensive operation quickly depleted Lin Ming's reserves, plunging them back into single digits. He calculated that disregarding byproducts and focusing solely on oxygen output, on average 1 unit of electricity could produce 1.5 units of oxygen. Of course, this calculation was somewhat unreasonable given the significant value of the universal chips. Lin Ming opened the Star Exchange, intending to trade oxygen for some electricity. After a few refreshes, a new trade alert caught his eye. Player Tang Howren had listed 200 units of rust iron ore with a price rust iron ore X1 exchanges for electricity X3 units. A faint smile curled at the corner of Lin Ming's lips. As expected, the price of rust iron ore is slowly dropping. Ready to sell, are you? By now they had been on the desolate planet for over 20 hours. Even though some players had followed Lin Ming's advice to mine stones and decompose rust iron ore for oxygen, their yields were barely sufficient for personal use, and some were even falling short. Oxygen was undoubtedly a hot commodity at this moment. True to expectations, as soon as the rust iron ore was listed, the Star Exchange chat channel erupted with fervor. Holy crap, the big shot is finally selling rust iron ore. But this price is a bit steep. You think it's expensive? I do too, but our oxygen is almost gone. If you don't want to suffocate, you have to buy. All you big shots with electricity, you've already bought a small portion of the ore in the blink of an eye. Wait for me. Holy crap, look, big shot Lin Ming is directly selling oxygen. Where? It's true. But wait, did Lin Ming make a pricing mistake? Why is 1 unit of oxygen only priced at 2 units of electricity? Wow, wow, wow. Big shot Lin Ming is practically doing charity. Love it. I'm snatching it up first. Lin Ming reserved 9 units of oxygen for himself and listed 50 units for trade. They were snapped up in an instant, netting him 100 units of electricity. The decision to price each unit of oxygen at only 2 units of electricity was a calculated move. Based on his previous experience, players typically spent about an hour gathering 1 cubic meter of stone, consuming 1 unit of electricity to haul it back in their reinforced suits. Decomposing the stone cost 1 unit of electricity, and decomposing the rust iron ore cost another unit. In other words, most players expended 3 units of electricity to obtain 3 units of oxygen, a 1:1 yield ratio. This did not account for additional physical exertion time or the consumption of water and food. If one subtracted the 1 unit of oxygen consumed by breathing, then 1.5 units of electricity were needed to produce 1 unit of oxygen. By directly offering 1 unit of oxygen for 2 units of electricity, Lin Ming spared other players these extra costs. The difference in value was the fruit of the mimic crab's tireless labor. After the transaction, Lin Ming was in high spirits. He lounged with his legs crossed, watching the bustling activity of the mimic crabs through their shared perspective, finding the scene immensely satisfying. Just then the ether crystal chimed with a notification. Player Tang Qingjin has applied to add you as a friend. Lin Ming raised an eyebrow. Having already blocked Tang Howren, who could no longer contact him, Lin Ming suspected Tang Qingjin was also from the Tang province. He chose to accept. Tang Qingjin immediately sent a message. Lin Ming, you're crashing the market. What you're doing shows no respect for your own hard work. Do you realize that? No respect for his own hard work. Thinking of the diligently laboring mimic crabs outside, Lin Ming took a sip of water and replied, what business is it of yours? Tang Qingjin responded, Howren must have done business with you before. I know his temperament. He's still a child, sometimes impulsive, and may have offended you. On his behalf, I offer my apologies. Reading Tang Qingjin's message, Lin Ming chuckled wryly. In business, Tang Howren had been the first to breach their agreement. From then on, Lin Ming would never deal with him again, and he even felt a tinge of annoyance towards everyone from the Tang province. That was precisely why he hadn't priced his oxygen too high, to slow down the sale of the rust iron or that the Tang province was hoarding. He replied, oh, I don't accept your apology. Friend, there's no need for this, is there? Tang Qingjin, clearly more composed and strategic, patiently reasoned, think about it. You possess such abundant oxygen resources. If we collaborate, you provide the resources and we handle the operations, we could surely earn several times more electricity. You know that before the solar panels are repaired, electricity is incredibly precious, practically non-renewable. Without such a valuable resource as oxygen, what else can you use to earn electricity? Upon reading Tang Qingjin's words, Lin Ming burst into laughter. He promptly listed the universal chips he had prepared. Grade Universal Chip X5, only trading for non-basic resources. Anyone interested? A single stone stirs 1,000 ripples. While most players were still fretting over the shortage of oxygen, Lin Ming had already begun selling non-basic resources. Many players had during their excavations stumbled upon grade universal chips, but the quantities were so scarce that they barely sufficed for personal use, let alone for sale. Lin Ming's offering of 5 chips at once was a truly bold move. Upon seeing the listing in the Star Exchange, Tang Qingjin's face twisted with dismay. It wasn't that they had failed to unearth grade universal chips. In fact, some players from Tang province had already called in their universal resource supply pods. They had believed themselves to be well ahead of the curve, yet Lin Ming already had a surplus of grade universal chips to sell. Could it be that hundreds of Tang province players working together were no match for a single Lin Ming? In the Star Exchange's chat channel, players buzzed with chatter. Holy crap, the universal chip that can fix the electromagnetic wave communicator. Has the big shot gathered non-basic resources this quickly? Can someone with big balls tell me what's the use of fixing the electromagnetic wave communicator? The one above and the one with it coiled around my waist, and I gotta say I'm huge. The one flying kites here says fixing the electromagnetic wave communicator lets you call in a universal resource supply pod. I've already called one in. ITLL arrive in 3 hours. Holy crap, there's a universal resource supply pod. What's inside? I want a bucket of fried chicken. A faint smile tugged at the corner of Lin Ming's mouth as he read the chat. Suddenly a trade notification chimed. Lin Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had already blocked trade requests for basic resources, so whoever initiated this trade must have non-basic resources in hand. Lin Ming quickly opened it and saw a black chip in the trade window. Another universal chip. He accessed the item's description. Constant temperature room construction blueprint description allows construction of an expansion module constant temperature room protecting against extreme temperatures. Authorized for multiple uses, binds upon use. Material requirements 100 units of ultra-fine metal powder 50 units of electrical energy. Construction requirement 3D metal printer. A constant temperature room blueprint. Lin Ming felt his heart clench. As the name suggested, its primary function was temperature regulation. He now had the big mouth flower along with abundant water and organic matter and had been fretting over where to plant them. Wasn't this a godsend? The trading player named Sun Yao sent Lin Ming a private message. Constant temperature room blueprint trade for 5 grade universal chips. Deal. Lin Ming squinted at Sun Yao's message. The last 2 words betrayed his thoughts. He himself felt the blueprint wasn't worth 5 universal chips. Without answering directly, Lin Ming asked, where did you get this constant temperature room blueprint? Sun Yao quickly replied, I got it from the Universal Resource Supply Pod. A Universal Resource Supply Pod. So some players had indeed already mined grade universal chips and called in pods. Why could Sun Yao pull a constant temperature room blueprint from his pod while he only got electrical energy and universal passwords? Lin Ming thought for a moment and replied, my survival pod already maintains a constant temperature. I don't see why I'd need an extra constant temperature room. Should I sleep in the pod for the first half of the night and the room for the second? Besides, what the heck is a 3D metal printer? I don't even know what that is. Sun Yao, sensing the blueprint's current uselessness, began to lower his price. How about trading for 4 universal chips? Seeing Sun Yao drop the price, Lin Ming knew the guy was still uncertain. He said, "Bro, since you could call in a resource pod, you must know about the universal password. You're aware how precious grade universal chips are. Every chip corresponds to a chance to call in a pod. I won't deny the constant temperature room might be useful later, but at this moment I can't think of a use for it. Sorry, I don't see its value." After sending 2 messages, Lin Ming clenched his fist tightly. His target price was 3 universal chips. If Sun Yao agreed, Lin Ming would seal the deal immediately. After all, the constant temperature room meant so much to him, while he had plenty of universal chips. What if Sun Yao cracked the password and called in a carbon-based life resource supply pod? He'd instantly understand the room's value and wouldn't sell it. 5 minutes later, just as Lin Ming was growing anxious, Sun Yao replied, "All right, boss Lin. You're developing fast, so you'll need this late-game tool earlier than us. Final offer, 2 universal chips. Can't go lower. Deal." Lin Ming almost shouted the word from his throat. Fortunately, Sun Yao couldn't see his expression or head renege and jack up the price. After the trade, Lin Ming gazed at the black chip in his palm, cherishing it like a treasure, turning it over and over. Building the constant temperature room required 50 units of electrical energy and 100 units of ultra-fine metal powder. He had enough electrical energy, but only 74 units of ultra-fine iron powder, still a bit short. Lin Ming glanced at the hard-working biomimetic crabs outside, estimating that in less than an hour they'd gather the remaining metal powder. He wasn't in a hurry. After trading for the constant temperature room construction blueprint, Lin Ming continued refreshing the Star Exchange. At this point, only a handful of players had unearthed grade universal chips and called in pods. It would be hours before those pods arrived. Thus, players like Sun Yao who had obtained something valuable from the pods were extremely rare. After half an hour of refreshing with no new trade requests, Lin Ming closed the interface, losing interest. Meanwhile, each biomimetic crab had gathered more stones, piling them beside the survival pod. Lin Ming, as before, used the mechanical arm to collect and decompose them one by one. This time, 9 cubic meters of stone were decomposed. The ether crystal chime decomposition results: grade universal chip X7, damaged universal chips X68, iron rust, or X31. The yield of iron rust, or is decent this time. Lin Ming nodded in satisfaction at the prompt. After processing the iron rust, or he had enough ultra-fine metal powder to build the constant temperature room. Lin Ming first listed 30 units of oxygen for 60 units of electrical energy. After a moment's thought, he also listed the damaged universal chips. He now had 177 damaged universal chips, which based on probability could be synthesized into 17 universal chips. But Lin Ming decided to list the damaged chips at a low price. Each damaged universal chip could be exchanged for 1 unit of any basic resource. This way, players who had gathered 7 or 8 damaged chips could afford to synthesize 1 grade universal chip and call in a resource pod. Sun Yao's case proved that only when the entire region developed well could he reap greater benefits. Otherwise, no matter how many resources he had, be limited by the region's overall progress and unable to trade for better items. A capitalist improves workers' conditions to seek greater profit, not out of kindness. Lin Ming murmured to himself, then summoned the 3D metal printer, placed the constant temperature room construction blueprint chip on it, and commanded, "Begin construction constant temperature room." The constant temperature chamber was exceedingly vast, rivaling even the survival pod in size. Consequently, its construction was not within the pod, but externally, and it would also occupy 1 expansion interface. The mechanical arm transported the 3D metal printer outside the survival pod and began the slow construction of the chamber. Lin Ming gazed at the holographic screen displaying the construction progress. 8 hours to complete. That's a bit slow. Ignoring the busy 3D metal printer, Lin Ming took out a universal chip, preparing to summon a carbon-based life resource supply capsule. At that moment, the ether crystal prompted, detected multiple grade universal chips. 10 grade universal chips can form a chip array, allowing further decryption of the universal code. Decryption will consume 10 units of electrical energy. Proceed with chip array formation. Seeing the prompt from the ether crystal, Lin Ming confirmed without hesitation. After all, once the universal code was decrypted, he would benefit continuously, able to use it every time thereafter. 10 minutes later, the ether crystal prompted, "Universal code decryption successful. You will now be able to detect grade carbon-based life resource supply capsules." Only grade can be detected now. Lin Ming grumbled inwardly. Those high-level civilizations that deployed the supply capsules were far too stingy. Grumbles aside, a distress signal still had to be sent. The ether crystal flashed another prompt, detected multiple grade universal chips. 10 grade universal chips can form a chip array, significantly enhancing the coverage range of the distress signal. Proceed with chip array formation. Seeing the holographic prompt, Lin Ming cursed. Damn it, you're dead set on squeezing more resources out of me, aren't you? He scrutinized the enhanced coverage range of the distress signal word by word. After forming the chip array, the call range expanded to a spherical space with a radius of 5 light minutes centered on him, or a conical space with a height of 10 light minutes. Compared to before, the coverage distance had increased dramatically. Confirmed. Chip array formed. Please select the call range. Lin Ming pondered. Since the planet was revolving around its star, the star was moving with the Milky Way, and the Milky Way was speeding through the local group. Therefore, the space covered by his previous distress signal was now an unknown distance away from him. Thus, Lin Ming made his choice. I choose to send the distress signal within a spherical space with a radius of 5 light minutes centered on me. The ether crystal immediately displayed a prompt. Sending this distress signal will consume 10 units of electrical energy. The signal will reach its farthest point in 5 minutes, and the return signal will take the same time. It will take a maximum of 10 minutes to confirm if any resource supply capsules are nearby. It consumes 10 units of electrical energy. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Seeing the consumption on the holographic screen, Lin Ming felt a pang of distress. He hoped the return this time would be worth the cost. As time ticked by at the 4-minute mark, Lin Ming spotted the orbital information of the first carbon-based life resource supply capsule. Hey, why is it just a basic carbon-based life resource supply capsule? Where's the F grade? I want the F grade. Lin Ming felt his heart bleeding. Subsequently, at the 6th, 08th, 0 and 9th minutes, the ether crystal prompted him that it had detected 3 more carbon-based life resource supply capsules. A complete loss. Watching the countdown dwindle, only detecting the most basic carbon-based life resource supply capsules, Lin Ming's mood soured. At the 9-minute and 30-second mark, the ether crystal prompted again, detected an F-grade carbon-based life resource supply capsule. Oh wow. Lin Ming paced back and forth excitedly. He never thought the movie trope would actually happen to him. A comeback in the final tens of seconds. While cliche as it was, it certainly worked when it happened to you. You can summon a maximum of 3 resource supply capsules. Please make your selection within 10 seconds. Lin Ming didn't hesitate. I choose the F-grade carbon-based life resource supply capsule. For the other 2, pick the nearest ones. F-grade carbon-based life resource supply capsule X1 summoned. Based on its current orbit and velocity, estimated arrival in 9 hours. Carbon-based life resource supply capsule X1 summoned. Based on its current orbit and velocity, estimated arrival in 10 hours. Carbon-based life resource supply capsule X1 summoned. Based on its current orbit and velocity, estimated arrival in 13 hours. Indeed. Watching the 3 consecutive prompts, Lin Ming nodded. The F-grade carbon-based life resource supply capsule was the farthest away, over 4 light minutes, yet its arrival time was the earliest. This indicated that higher-grade resource supply capsules boasted superior manufacturing technology and greater speed. With these tasks complete, Lin Ming had no urgent matters left and prepared to get a good night's sleep. Lying in the hibernation pod, Lin Ming munched on nutrient paste while browsing the interstellar exchange market. As he expected, players were constantly trading basic resources for damaged universal chips. Some even offered water and nutrient paste aside from oxygen and electrical energy. Looks like these players are just one damaged universal chip short of synthesizing a good one. Hope you guys managed to call in a decent resource supply capsule. Good luck. Watching the constant stream of successful trade notifications, Lin Ming was thoroughly satisfied and drifted off to sleep in a cheerful mood. 8 hours later, Lin Ming was awakened by the alarm he had set. He sat up stretched and felt refreshed. Ordinary sleep not only restored physical strength, but also provided ample mental satisfaction. This time he didn't experience that strange feeling of having slept yet not slept at all during hibernation. Opening the information hologram, Lin Ming checked the progress of various matters. The biomimetic crabs were still toiling away tirelessly, never knowing fatigue. Each crab had already amassed 3 small mounds of stone. The fastest F-grade carbon-based life resource supply capsule was due to arrive in 1 hour, while the other 2 basic capsules would arrive within a few hours. And there was good news: the constant temperature chamber was already built. Lin Ming stood up, splashed some water on his face to refresh himself, and walked to the expansion interface leading to the chamber. It was a metal door 2 meters in diameter. The ether crystal promptly reminded him. The constant temperature chamber has equalized air pressure and temperature. No need for a suit to enter or exit. Lin Ming nodded, pressed the open button, and the metal door swung open. After passing through a 3-meter-long cylindrical connecting passage, Lin Ming entered the constant temperature chamber. It was a vast space, no different from the survival pod, the only distinction being 3 rows of neatly arranged shelves in the center. This is a soilless cultivation framework system. Once activated, it will consume 5 units of electrical energy, 1 liter of water, 1 unit of oxygen, and 1 unit of nutrients per 24 hours. Activate. Yes. Although the constant temperature room consumes many resources daily, they are all necessary investments. Therefore, Lin Ming did not hesitate. and chose to activate the soilless cultivation framework system. Hurdle. After confirmation, the pipes on the shelves immediately began to inject purified water. Before long, the water resource injection was complete, and the constant temperature room automatically extracted the nutrients from the metal cylinders and started the circulation. Fortunately, all this was done within sealed pipes, so no odor spread. Lin Ming solemnly took out 5 big-mouth flower seeds and placed them on the culture medium. Almost simultaneously, the culture medium began to moisten and the temperature and humidity were adjusted to conditions suitable for germination. Lin Ming gently touched the culture medium and whispered, "Grow up quickly. The Indian cuisine-flavored nutrient paste is really damn unpalatable." After doing all this, Lin Ming returned to the survival pod, opened the interstellar exchange channel, and began to check his gains. All 177 damaged universal chips were traded away, earning 113 units of electrical energy, 35 units of oxygen, 21 tubes of nutrient paste, and 8 liters of water. It could be said to be quite a fruitful harvest. At this point, Lin Ming no longer needed to worry about survival. Currently, he was relatively scarce on organic nutrients, so he simply listed 10 units of oxygen, exchanging 0.5 units of oxygen for a lump of feces. In less than a minute, the oxygen was completely snapped up, exchanging for 5 units of organic nutrients. Together with the remaining 2 units of organic nutrients, it was enough for the constant temperature room to operate continuously for a week. At this time, there were still half an hour until the arrival of the class carbon-based life resource supply pod. Lin Ming simply stopped breaking down stones and focused on waiting for the resource supply pod. Through the hemispherical glass dome overhead, Lin Ming looked at the moon, which was several times larger, and couldn't help but feel homesick at the sight. He had been on this barren land for over 2 days. Blue Star truly could never return. After sighing for a while, Lin Ming saw a white light appear at the horizon, with the tail flame ahead of the white light, exceptionally dazzling. He knew it was because the class carbon-based life resource supply pod was moving too fast, so it needed to decelerate in advance with reverse thrust, otherwise it would likely overshoot his desolate planet and vanish into the endless deep space. Before long, the class carbon-based life resource supply pod decelerated to a speed that could be captured by the planet's gravity. The reverse thrust power gradually decreased, and it traced a parabolic arc, slowly landing beside the survival pod. PSSHD. As before, the resource supply pods hatch opened, releasing a standard alloy box of 1 class carbon-based life resource supply pod has been recovered. This acquisition: miniature reconnaissance satellite blueprint X1, dehydrated vegetable pack X1, dehydrated seed pack X1, superalloy X1, fuel X3. Miniature reconnaissance satellite blueprint. Dehydrated vegetable pack. Dehydrated seed pack. Seeing the information given by the ether crystal, Lin Ming was somewhat excited. He opened the illustration for miniature reconnaissance satellite blueprint. Miniature reconnaissance satellite blueprint description can greatly expand your field of vision, detect surrounding terrain, predict short-term weather, and also conduct limited exploration of interstellar space. Multiple authorization: reusable. Consumption: 5 fuel to launch, 1 fuel per 24 hours to maintain in orbit. Material requirements: high purity silicon ingot X20, electromagnetic coil X2, class universal chip X10, circuit board X10, superalloy powder X10 units, ultrafine iron powder X100 units, fuel X6 minimum. Manufacturing requirement: 3D metal printer required. Seeing the materials needed to manufacture the miniature reconnaissance satellite, Lin Ming raised his eyebrows. The required materials are way too many. It seems I need to postpone the plan to repair the solar panels. Lin Ming felt a headache coming. He operated the robotic arm to recycle the mountain of stones while starting to list trade requests on the interstellar exchange. Oxygen X1 unit for superalloy X1 unit. Purified water X1 liter for superalloy X1 unit. Nutrient paste X1 tube for superalloy X1 unit. Electrical energy X1 unit for superalloy X1 unit. Big shot Lin Ming is trading again, my god. He even has nutrient paste and water. How rich are you, boss, that you can trade these? By the way, what is superalloy? Decomposing rust iron, or only gives ultra-fine iron powder? Is there superalloy, or? You little noob, don't know? Superalloy is a byproduct after recycling resource supply pods. The big shot must have recycled resource supply pods and stockpiled related resources in advance. Brother Lin Ming, can you wait 5 hours? My resource supply pod still needs 5 hours to arrive. He'll trade with you then. Lin Ming simply ignored the messages in the interstellar exchange chat channel. He listed the trades precisely to exchange for superalloy as quickly as possible. If he had to wait that long, wouldn't it be better to just use an class universal chip to send a distress signal and call a few more general resource supply pods? Player Sun Yao exchanged superalloy X4 units for your nutrient paste X1 tube and purified water X3 liters. Looking at the prompt from the ether crystal, Lin Ming let out a huh. He was not surprised that Sun Yao had superalloy after all he had previously traded with him for constant temperature room blueprint indicating that Sun Yao had already called for resource supply pods. But Lin Ming didn't expect Sun Yao to have 4 units of superalloy. This meant he had recycled at least 4 resource supply pods. It seemed that Sun Yao's claim that the constant temperature room blueprint was obtained from a general resource supply pod might not be true. However, Lin Ming didn't care about that. Everyone has their own unique traits. He could see resource distribution points. Sun Yao might also have other. After thinking, Lin Ming opened Sun Yao's private chat and sent him a message, "Pleasure doing business. In the future, let's share experiences and make progress together." Sun Yao quickly replied, "Okay, big shot Lin Ming for sure." After Sun Yao traded superalloy, other players successively traded a few units of superalloy as well. Lin Ming set the purchase limit for superalloy at 20 units. After all, it might be needed for something in the future, it wouldn't hurt to stockpile a bit in advance. After handling the superalloy matter, Lin Ming proceeded to look at the remaining items. Dehydrated vegetable pack description: vegetables processed with dehydration preservation technology can be rehydrated by adding water. Dehydrated seed pack description: seeds processed with dehydration preservation technology no longer capable of germination. Inside the dehydrated vegetable pack were only a few gray-black objects. Obviously, these things had been drifting in space for who knows how long, having long lost their original form. The dehydrated seed pack was similar, containing only 2 shriveled seeds with no possibility of germination. However, the higher civilization that launched the carbon-based life resource supply pod had already anticipated this. As long as these items are fed to a mature big mouth flower, it will specialize into the corresponding traits. After processing his gains, Lin Ming also decomposed the mountain of stones. By now, most of the movable rocks within several kilometers of the survival pod had been gathered by the mimic crabs, leaving only a few larger boulders. The mimic crabs needed to venture farther to collect stones, causing efficiency to gradually decline. This time, Lin Ming decomposed 41 cubic meters of stone. The ether crystal prompted decomposition results: grade universal chips X38, damaged universal chips X132, rust iron or X116. Lin Ming directly decomposed the rust iron, or yielding 116 units of oxygen and ultra-fine iron powder. Considering he would soon head to the pit to capture mimic crabs, and that the greenhouse would continuously consume oxygen, Lin Ming reserved 20 units of oxygen and listed the rest on the interstellar exchange. He listed 126 units of oxygen, exchanging them for 252 units of electrical energy. Lin Ming noticed that players were trading electrical energy for oxygen at a slowing pace. This meant either everyone had started mining rust iron, or to produce their own oxygen, or their electrical energy reserves were running low. In either case, the value of oxygen was gradually diminishing, while electrical energy would become increasingly vital. After completing the microsatellite, repairing the solar panels needed to be prioritized. Having made up his mind, Lin Ming had the 3D metal printer forge a new superalloy greatsword. Donning the heavy load EVA suit, he left the survival pod with the greatsword, heavy shield, and superalloy net. "All of you come here." Of course, Lin Ming also brought his army of 7 mimic crabs and a metal cylinder, planning to bring back some polluted water. Soon Lin Ming arrived near the pit entrance. The stone wall he had set up earlier was still there. Through the real-time map, he saw more mimic crabs emerging from the depths of the pit, patrolling along the original route. This sight slightly reassured Lin Ming. Manufacturing the microsatellite required 20 pieces of high-purity silicon ingots, meaning he needed to decompose at least 10 mimic crabs. If there were too few mimic crabs in the pit, it would be a problem. With an army of 7 mimic crabs, Lin Ming naturally wouldn't lure them out one by one, exhausting their energy before capturing them as before. Instead, he ordered the mimic crabs to pair up, forcefully enter the pit, deceive the native mimic crabs with a signal, drag them out, and bring them to the survival pod for reprogramming. "Be careful, don't get hurt. Whoever gets injured will be decomposed," Lin Ming commanded the mimic crab army. Noticing a lone mimic crab by his feet, he handed it the metal cylinder. "You're not idle either. Go fetch water." The mimic crab obeyed, immediately raising the metal cylinder and entering the pit. One by one, mimic crabs were brought to the survival pod, reprogrammed, and added to Lin Ming's ever-growing army. This cycle continued for less than 3 hours, and Lin Ming's mimic crab army swelled from 7 to 30. Checking the real-time map, Lin Ming noticed no new green dots appeared at 5 meters underground. "Whoa, I accidentally drove the mimic crabs to extinction." Lin Ming chuckled, standing with his sword, and naturally commanded his mimic crab army to continuously extract polluted water from the branching tunnels. One metal cylinder after another was brought out of the tunnel by the mimic crabs, lifting Lin Ming's spirits. As he considered whether to enter the tunnel himself, he suddenly felt a faint tremor beneath his feet. What was happening? Lin Ming quickly opened the real-time map. He saw a massive green dot appear at the bottom of the pit, rapidly approaching the surface. At the same time, 5 mimic crabs fetching water in the pit lost contact with Lin Ming. Lin Ming immediately ordered a mimic crab to investigate. Through the shared vision, a colossal mimic crab appeared before it, and then the feed went dark. Damn, I've stirred up the big one. Lin Ming retreated at once, holding the shield in his left hand and the sword in his right, ready for battle. Clack, clack, clack. The tremors grew stronger. In an instant, a pitch-black mimic crab over 5 meters in length emerged. Lin Ming saw that the mimic crab leader's body was over 2 meters in diameter. Its upper half resembled a mimic crab, while its lower half was akin to a centipede, looking utterly horrifying. The mimic crab leader had 3 pairs of massive pincers on its upper body, each clutching a struggling mimic crab. Crack. The pincers tightened, crushing 6 mimic crabs simultaneously. The mimic crab leader swallowed the fragments, and its joints extended, increasing its length by another meter. What the hell is that thing? Taste my sword. Lin Ming maxed out the power of his heavy load EVA suit and hurled the great sword with all his might. Whoosh. The great sword transformed into a streak of white light, hurtling straight toward the mimic. However, despite its massive size, the mimic crab leader reacted swiftly. Its dozen pairs of black legs shifted, producing a grating sound, and it dodged the great sword with ease. Whoosh. Lin Ming then threw the heavy shield. As the behemoth dodged, he pushed the heavy load EVA suit to its limit and turned to flee. While running, Lin Ming was cautious, not heading straight for the survival pod, but sprinting in the opposite direction. The mimic crab leader did not pursue. It stood coldly at the pit entrance, watching Lin Ming disappear into the distance, then submerged its massive body back into the pit. Phew, that was close. Lin Ming felt his heart pounding wildly, veins throbbing at his temples. If he had entered the pit earlier, he would have been torn to shreds by the mimic crab leader, who said this is a barren planet. With such a terrifying creature near the survival pod, who knows how many dangers lurk on this vast world? After confirming several times that the mimic crab leader hadn't followed, Lin Ming stopped, panting heavily. He carefully erased his footprints, took a long detour, and returned to the survival pod 2 hours later. That's it for now. Don't go near the pit for a while. That big guy is trouble. Looking at the 24 surviving mimic crabs, Lin Ming repeatedly confirmed with the ether crystal that the behemoth couldn't track him through the mimic crab's positions before he felt at ease. Even so, Lin Ming didn't let the mimic crabs operate near the survival pod. Instead, he ordered them to wait at a distance of 2 kilometers. After doing all this, Lin Ming rested inside the survival pod for a while, steadying his agitated mind. He looked out through the hemispherical glass dome. Outside, 2 carbon-based life resource supply pods had arrived. Let's recover the carbon-based life resource supply pods and see what goodies are inside this time. Carbon-based life resource supply pod has been recovered. This acquisition: electricity X8, blue-green algae, freeze-dried powder X1, superalloy X1, universal password X6, fuel X1. The carbon-based life resource supply pod has been recovered. This acquisition: electricity X5, EF, grade universal chip X1, superalloy X1, universal password X6, of fuel X1. 2 consecutive notifications appeared. Lin Ming saw that besides the basic universal password and electricity, there were 2 different items respectively. Blue-green algae, freeze-dried powder. Description: this resilient little creature requires no oxygen during growth and can perform photosynthesis, producing oxygen, while also having a certain nitrogen-fixing effect, slightly improving soil fertility. F-grade universal chip. Description: a general-purpose chip with relatively low computing power, an upgraded version of the F-grade universal chip capable of withstanding short-term overclocking without damage. Not bad. The 2 resource supply pods that arrived later were the most basic, so Lin Ming did not. Yet these 2 resource supply pods gave items that surprised Lin Ming. The blue-green algae freeze-dried powder goes without saying. Other plants can convert carbon dioxide into oxygen through photosynthesis, but at night without light, they also undergo respiration, consuming oxygen, and cannot survive in an oxygen-free environment. Blue-green algae, however, can survive in an oxygen-free environment. In the past, blue star's transition from an anaerobic to an aerobic environment was largely due to blue-green algae. Moreover, blue-green algae can increase soil fertility and can even be eaten directly in special times. It can be said to be very suitable for Lin Ming's current environment. The F-grade universal chip is an upgraded version of the F-grade universal chip. Lin Ming immediately replaced the damaged one on the electromagnetic wave communicator. The ether crystal popped up a notification: detected increase in universal chip computing power. Electromagnetic wave communicator function enhanced. Can continuously provide real-time map within a radius of 10 kilometers without burning out the chip, or send a rescue signal every 12 hours. After sending, the chip will overheat and enter sleep mode without damage. Indeed, the universal chip was no longer a pure consumable, and Lin Ming was quite satisfied. He adjusted the electromagnetic wave communicator status to continuously monitor the surroundings and saw in the pit that huge green that's staying near the water source motionless. That mimic crab leader was a major threat to Lin Ming, who, without eliminating it, he always felt uneasy. But currently he had no suitable combat means, so he could only monitor it first and plan slowly. Holding the blue-green algae freeze-dried powder, Lin Ming entered the constant temperature room. He looked at the culture medium and couldn't help but exclaim softly. The big-mouth flower was indeed a product of bioengineering modification, and under suitable conditions it had already begun to sprout in just a few hours. At this rate, it could be transplanted by tomorrow. Lin Ming poured the blue-green algae freeze-dried powder into the first layer of the soilless cultivation system. The powder tumbled up and down in the water, eagerly absorbing moisture and beginning to revive. Of course, from the appearance, Lin Ming saw no change. He could only wait quietly. After doing this, Lin Ming was about to check his current resources to prepare to manufacture the microsatellite when he felt the ether crystal on the back of his hand vibrate slightly, something that had never happened before. What's happening? Lin Ming gently touched the ether crystal and found many players actively speaking in the regional chat channel. He scrolled through the messages and saw that highlighted message, his expression somewhat astonished. Zhao Yihong, brothers and sisters, sorry to say goodbye to you all. I can't hold on anymore. My survival pod is damaged, oxygen level is near zero, I'm feeling symptoms of hypoxia. I'm about to eject the escape pod. I have some basic resources left, and I've listed them unconditionally on the Star Exchange. I hope they can bring you some help. My name is Zhao Yihong. On a distant barbarian planet, I wish you good luck. Player Zhao Yihong listed purified water X 3 liters trade for purified water X 1 milliliter. Player Zhao Yihong listed electricity X 1 unit trade for purified water X 1 milliliter. Player Zhao Yihong listed heavy-duty EVA suit X 1 piece trade for purified water X 1 milliliter. Player Zhao Yihong listed light EVA suit X 1 piece trade for purified water X 1 milliliter. Unexpectedly, Zhao Yihong listed all his assets at nearly giveaway prices, yet no player traded. Many players sent in the chat channel, "Old Zhao, you coward. Don't give up. I have extra oxygen, I'll gift you 1 unit. Yeah, many hands make light work. Giving up now is unwise. He'll also gift you 0.5 units of oxygen. I don't have many resources, but every bit helps. I'll gift you 0.3 units of oxygen." One message after another was sent. The players who were usually meticulous in trading suddenly burst out with unparalleled unity. A small window suddenly popped up in the lower right corner of the chat channel, showing Zhao Yihong's live stream. Zhao Yihong was a young man in his 20s, looking vigorous, sitting in the escape pod, tidying his hair. As if knowing he was being watched by all players, he smiled and waved gently goodbye everyone. With that, Zhao Yihong lay down calmly. Hiss. The glass cover of the escape pod closed, white mist appeared. Player Lin Ming traded 1 milliliter of purified water for player Zhao Yihong's purified water X 3 liters. Player Lin Ming traded 1 milliliter of purified water for player Zhao Yihong's electricity X 1 unit. Player Lin Ming traded 1 milliliter of purified water for player Zhao Yihong's heavy-duty EVA suit X 1 piece. Player Lin Ming traded 1 milliliter of purified water for player Zhao Yihong's light EVA suit X 1 piece. The sudden trade notifications caused an uproar among all players watching the live stream. Fuck, which blind bastard is taking advantage of a dying man? It's big shot, Lin Ming. But boss, you don't lack these resources, no need to take advantage. You can't judge a book by its cover. Lin Ming is well off, but that doesn't make him a good person. Besides, EVA suits are currently unmanufacturable. Lin Ming might have his eye on them. Ignoring the commotion from these people, Lin Ming directly disregarded them. He said in the regional channel, "Zhao Yihong, rest assured and enter hibernation. Since I took your things, I make you a promise. After I transform this planet, I will bring you back along with all compatriots under 18 who are still drifting in the universe." Seeing the message in the regional chat channel, Zhao Yihong nodded vigorously, his eyes glistening, tears seeming to well up. White mist rose quickly, freezing Zhao Yihong to minus 200 degrees Celsius. The tear at the corner of his eye also solidified there, becoming a glittering ice bead. Whoosh! Zhao Yihong's escape pod spewed a dazzling plume of flame as it detached from the survival capsule, shooting into the sky like an arrow. Minutes later, the fiery tail vanished, blending into the vast starry expanse of space. The livestream ended. A momentary silence fell over the regional chat channel. A wave of inexplicable sentiment surged through the surviving players, each feeling a sense of shared doom. In this escape pod lay Zhao Yihong. Who would be next? Would it be me? Regional chat member count 999610000. Watching the regional channel lose one member, Lin Ming let out a sigh. He knew that once the first player triggered the escape pod, there would be a second and a third. The number of players in the regional channel would dwindle. This did not signify reduced competition, but rather an increased probability of death. After all, each player possessed a desolate planet with infinite resources to develop. The higher the player's level of advancement, the greater the mutual benefits. They were in a co-opetition, not a zero-sum game. Lin Ming pondered for a long time before finally making his choice. Hello everyone, I am Lin Ming. I have cracked the universal password for the class carbon-based life resource supply pod. I share it here hoping it will help you all. The password is 131242355560 76575866645. As expected, the ether crystal did not prohibit sharing the universal password. In the regional chat channel, players became active again. Brother Lin Ming, you are magnanimous. I admire you. Yes, thank you, Brother Lin Ming. Wishing you a lifetime of peace. Who knows if the password is real or fake? Maybe he got scolded for taking someone else's stuff and is just throwing something out to shut everyone up. Shut up, you dog. Don't measure a gentleman's heart with your petty mind. I deciphered it too, and I confirm Brother Lin Ming's password is correct. Tested and verified. I just sent a distress signal and detected in class carbon-based life resource supply pod. ITLL arrive in an hour. Thanks, Brother Lin Ming. The sporadic, discordant voices in the regional channel were quickly drowned out by the players. Lin Ming noticed that some had already deciphered the class universal password. This meant those players were developing at a pace no less than his. Yet Lin Ming felt no regret. Some spirits, once they emerge, bring about something different. He had merely planted a seed. Player Zhao Hongzhong has requested to add you as a friend. Seeing the sudden friend notification, Lin Ming raised an eyebrow and chose to accept. Greetings, Brother Lin Ming. Zhao Hongzhong exchanged pleasantries without superfluous words and sent Lin Ming a blueprint: electromagnetic gun manufacturing blueprint. Electromagnetic gun manufacturing blueprint description: a weapon that converts electrical energy into kinetic energy, lightweight and portable with moderate firepower. Multi-license binds upon use. Material requirements: electromagnetic coil X5, class universal chip X1, circuit board X1, superalloy powder 3 units, energy storage block X1 minimum. Usage requirements: consumes metal bullet X1 recyclable and electrical energy X1 unit per shot. Manufacturing requirement: 3D metal printer. Holy crap, an electromagnetic gun. Lin Ming was utterly stunned. After a long pause, he replied, "What's your price?" Zhao Hongzhong immediately responded, "I deeply admire what you've done, Brother Lin Ming. I gift you this electromagnetic gun manufacturing blueprint for free, hoping that when you have ample materials, you can craft one for me at no cost." Lin Ming agreed without hesitation. The materials required to manufacture the electromagnetic gun were minimal, and he could gather them now. Player Zhao Hongzhong exchanges electromagnetic gun manufacturing blueprint X1 for pure water X1 milliliter. Accept. Yes. After confirming, a fingernail-sized chip appeared in Lin Ming's palm. Summoning 10 mimic crabs, he chose to decompose them. This decomposition consumed 10 units of electrical energy. Obtained high-purity silicon ingot X20 of class universal chip X10, circuit board X10, electromagnetic coil X10. Lin Ming checked the required materials for the electromagnetic gun. He now had everything ready. The energy storage blocks could be freely chosen with a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 5, each shot consuming 1 unit of electrical energy. Since the storage blocks were detachable, and he had thousands from the previous resource supply pod, Lin Ming maxed them out. After consuming 2 units of electrical energy, Lin Ming crafted 2 guns. What you call this a gun? Staring at the 2 gleaming silver-white electromagnetic guns on the ground, he swallowed hard. The electromagnetic gun relied on electromagnetic rails to accelerate bullets, so the barrel alone was 1.5 meters long, and with the body it stretched over 2 meters. Each energy storage block measured 1 cubic decimeter. 5 stacked together looked quite substantial. Lin Ming lifted the electromagnetic gun with both hands, using all his strength to barely raise it before setting it down. Each gun must weigh over 100 kilograms. Without a heavy-duty exosuit, it's unusable. Lin Ming then crafted a few bullets from superalloy. Each unit of superalloy could produce 3 electromagnetic gun bullets. Though called bullets, they were akin to shells. What bullet is as thick as a thumb and as long as an arm? This was clearly an armor-piercing shell. Generously charging the energy storage blocks to full, Lin Ming traded 1 electromagnetic gun and 6 bullets to Zhao Hongzhong. Bullets are reusable. If you need anything, just say the word. Provide the materials and he'll process them for free. Zhao Hongzhong was astonished that Lin Ming had crafted the gun so quickly, marveling at his abundant resources. He hurriedly replied, "Thank you, Brother Lin Ming. If I get other blueprints, I'll come to you for processing." Zhao Hongzhong's words sparked a realization in Lin Ming. That's right. He had ample electrical energy and a 3D metal printer. If other players had blueprints, he could craft for them for free, thereby acquiring more blueprints in return. Lin Ming could act as the manufacturer for their region, turning basic resources into advanced items for sale. This would yield immense profits and grant him access to countless high-level technologies. No time like the present. Without hesitation, Lin Ming summoned 5 mimic crabs for decomposition, crafted another electromagnetic gun, and listed it on the Interstellar Exchange at the high price of 9,999 units of oxygen with a note, acquiring various rare materials or processing blueprints. Exchange blueprints for free custom processing. Lin Ming's products, always top quality. Holy crap, a gun. What kind of super scientific electromagnetic cannon is this? I'm still miserably mining, and brother Lin Ming has already come up with something like this. Damn, with an electromagnetic gun and a heavy-duty exosuit at a jetpack, and it's practically a low-budget